Tonight on Timcast IRL, a man on a plane threatens to kill every passenger unless they meet one condition. They accept that Jesus was black. Dun, 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 dun. Tonight. How's it going, everybody? How's the intro going? Was that a good intro?
A strong start.
Very strong start.
Getting better and better, Tim.
Getting better. I just watched an episode of the new Unsolved Mysteries, so I was like,
I hear it's good.
yeah, but without that old guy. Remember back in the 90s?
Oh, of course. Oh,
yeah, that guy made the whole show work because he just sounded scary. Like everything he said sounded like the world was going to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that show was awesome. But no, it's a real story. Some dude was on a plane, an Alaskan Airlines flight, and apparently he threatened to kill everyone on the plane unless they accepted that Jesus was black. And although we don't have a whole lot of details, I think we know what this is all about. There's a hysteria going around. Sean King just in the past couple weeks said Jesus is not white, tear down the statues, it's white supremacy. We just saw a bunch of statues of the Virgin Mary desecrated, burned. One church, some guy rammed into it, tried setting it on fire. 2 other churches burned down.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's connected to this, but I think based on someone like Sean King who's got like 1 million, I don't know how many followers he has, a ridiculous amount, saying something like that.
Yeah.
To see these fanatics go out and do this crazy stuff, man. So we got a couple other stories too. There's a really, really tragic story. This young woman in Indiana said apparently was walking past some people. They said Black Lives Matter to her. She responded with All Lives Matter. They get into an argument. Apparently both groups found out each other was strapped. So they're like, no, we don't want any trouble over this now. So they fist bump. But then as they walked away, the other side ran back, ambushed her, and just fired several times, shooting her in the head. Now this woman lost her life. Very, very tragic story. Black Lives Matter activists are now going to her Facebook page. That's like basically a memorial for her now. And they're inundating it with death threats and calls for death. They're attacking her. They're calling her racist. They're saying y'all are next. Things like that. It's absolutely insane, man.
That's terrible.
Yeah, dude. We live in crazy times, man. We live in crazy times, man.
It's crazy.
And the other thing we got is, Adam, you watched Uncle Tom.
And I forced you to do it too.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, I wouldn't say you forced me. You were like, yo, watch. I was like, yeah. And then we watched it. And we were like, yeah.
I basically, I saw it and then I couldn't believe a lot of what was said in that. And it's an incredible documentary. Every single person needs to see it. It's a shame. It's actually $20 to rent. Well, actually to own it, you can get it and you can get a physical copy. But wow, what I've really, it is really an inspiring amount of information about what Black people have had to do to climb out of slavery. And it is an incredible journey. And they talk about all the big players that really helped the civil rights movement. And a lot of them I didn't know anything about. So I learned a lot about it. And it's everyone needs to know. It's basically. I mean, I can talk a lot about it, and we'll talk about it later.
So it's crazy how just absolutely insane everything's getting in terms of like race relations, racial stories, and all this stuff. It's been nuts.
Yeah.
But Uncle Tom, man, that was really interesting. It's basically a bunch of Black conservatives talking about their perspectives, the things they weren't taught. And my perspective on it was just like, if you're going to claim to be anti-racist and you want to support marginalized communities, then you absolutely need to watch this and share it.
Oh, the names are wrong.
What names are wrong?
Our names.
Oh, you have Ian still up.
Yeah, you just.
I'm not.
Boom.
Adam Krigler.
Thank you, chat.
There we go.
And also, is my mic okay now? Because he was fiddling with the mic.
I was turning it up.
The mic should be good now.
Ooh,
so
magic.
Love you guys.
Sounds better.
Chat's the best.
Yes, they're
these are
on
good.
it.
Chat's great.
I didn't change it. You changed this one back?
I might have changed that one back. Yeah, but
right,
the
so we're good
individual
then, right?
ones. Yeah. So,
all right, whatever.
So yeah. About
We're
this, you know what, man, I learned so much. Really, it's about classic Republicans. A lot of the civil rights movements were made by Republicans.
Oh, totally. But I mean, the Civil War was the Republicans.
That's
Abraham
true.
Lincoln.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, man. Was your audio low? Is that what they were saying?
Yeah. It's good now. Everyone's saying it's good.
We tested it earlier. This is so ridiculous.
Thanks,
for those that don't know, earlier today, this is a crazy story having to do with censorship.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mention it, but we're approaching, I think, like a couple minutes in. So, Adam, I'm sorry, I gotta defer to you on this one.
What?
They have to do something.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. I was distracted.
There's something that they have to do.
Does it have something to do with smashing the like button?
Well, that's literally what they have to do.
Yes.
Something to do
Smash
with
the
that.
like button. Ha ha ha.
And we have sound. Look
Yeah,
at that.
you know what? It's been a long day. I've for those who don't know, who if you don't follow me on Twitter, or Facebook, I guess. Although that's the only people who know me. But today on Twitter or on Facebook, I announced that I'm voting for Trump, and I said, if you want to talk to me, talk to me. You know, some people blocked me right away, and I knew what I was getting into. I know people don't like to talk about it, and I got major emotions flack from it. So it's been a long day. You know, I've been doing. I mean, my brain is tired.
But we're gonna talk
Every
about it.
Every day, I'm like just soaking my brain in information, and I'm not gonna stop. But today was a long day. So
Well, so smash the like button.
Thank you.
Smash the subscribe button. That's important too, because a lot of people don't subscribe, but you should, and the notification bell. But there's problems with the audio because earlier today there's actually a really big story. And in order, this is actually a kind of hilarious thing we can open with Patreon lawsuit. For those that aren't familiar, Patreon is a woke subscription service.
Yeah.
Where you sign up, then people can choose to donate to your Patreon. I think everybody knows what Patreon is for the most part. And there's a lawsuit going on right now having to do with Owen Benjamin, who's a comedian who got banned, I guess for hate speech or something. And Patreon is now suing his patrons. In order to actually hear the lawsuit, the ongoing lawsuit, I had to download Zoom. That was the link. It was like, join the meeting right now. I actually got to go in the room. It was really funny because I don't think they realized how prominent this case was, how important it was. There was like 200 people in this room.
Okay.
And people weren't muting their mics. So the judge was like, hold on, I've got to ban this person for,
Oh,
like,
wow.
yeah, because people didn't, you'd hear audio looping and people didn't know.
Right.
It was really crazy. But so I downloaded Zoom. Zoom broke the drivers. I'm not saying that to dig or disrespect Zoom. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Yeah.
And I guess they tweeted at me like, let us know if you needed help. But something happened with the sound drivers. It broke it. We had to reinstall it. It changed everything. I successfully duct taped it all back together. We're using an XLR splitter to make it work.
I'm actually holding two wires together underneath the desk.
The
You
current,
can't see it.
the current is actually going through Adam.
It's electrocuting me a little bit.
It's keeping him awake.
Well, so let's do this. I want to briefly talk about this Patreon thing.
Yeah, let's
and
talk
then
about
and
it.
then we'll dive into the crazy news once people have a chance to actually join in. But so Mike Cernovich was tweeting about this. He was in the Zoom meeting, and I'm not a lawyer, so I could probably get a lot of these details wrong. But this is really crazy because Patreon banned Owen Benjamin. His patrons, I guess, then filed for like an arbitration because Patreon's terms of service say like any dispute must be brought to arbitration, not lawsuit or something.
Okay.
And then there's this law in California that says that Patreon has to front the cash for the overhead costs for arbitration. And Patreon realized that each individual case it's going to end up costing them millions of dollars to go to arbitration. It's worse than just going to court. So they tried getting the arbitration to end, I guess, and the arbitrator guy was like, no. So then they filed a lawsuit against Owen Benjamin's patrons. I could be getting some of the details wrong because I'm not entirely sure. I was just listening in on this court case. But the general idea is that Patreon changed its terms of service at the last minute because they knew that these claims would destroy their company. They call it irreparable harm.
But they changed all those things after they already went to arbitration, right?
So
they already took them to arbitration, I mean.
Some people filed for arbitration.
Okay.
And then a bunch of other people filed later after Patreon changed their terms of service.
Okay.
So Patreon's like, but you agreed to the new terms. And so the lawyer for these patrons was basically like, nah, you can't do that.
Right.
If I agree to an arbitration clause and then a conflict arises because of something you did, you can't change the terms later.
Right. After the fact.
He mentioned a specific case where it's like, no, the terms that will be applied to this arbitration are the terms from the creation of the dispute.
Like, yeah, when they actually
banned Owen Benjamin.
Right, okay.
So that means basically it looks like it's leaning against Patreon. It's going to lean in favor of Owen Benjamin's patrons.
That sounds like a really good thing.
It could be. It basically means that all of these tech companies can be sued, as brought to arbitration, and they'll be bankrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah, Patreons will be. Look, if this goes through, Patreon might be bankrupted overnight. Yeah, that could just bring them down. The argument is that, I guess, and I could be wrong about this, I'm not entirely sure, it's like a tortious interference claim, where basically the patrons of Owen Benjamin are saying that Patreon interfered with their contract with Owen Benjamin. Because when you sign up for Patreon, you're saying, I'll give you $5 in exchange for what you offer. By Patreon banning this person, they severed the contract between Owen Benjamin and the patrons.
Right.
Which is, their argument is tortious interference. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Some of the details I probably got way wrong. I was listening to the judge and the lawyers talk about it. But there's a thread from Mike Cernovich. Mike Cernovich, I retweeted it. Go to my Twitter, twitter.com/Timcast. Check it out, because this could be a seriously game-changing anti-censorship ruling.
Yeah.
Like, if I don't know what would happen now, because I'm sure that the courts will try to be reasonable to Patreon, but a lot of people got banned before these new terms and didn't know they could do this. Now, I'm sure the Patreon would argue that's not our fault. You didn't know what to do. You can't now sue us a year later under these rules. But if they argue that Patreon changed their rules because they knew arbitration was coming,
Yeah.
I think every single person banned from Patreon wouldn't you then be able to have all of those patrons, 10,000 plus people?
I was reading about it. It seemed like the judge was looking at them at Patreon and going, why do you think that this is okay, what you did? It's not okay.
Yeah.
And knowing that, it's like, it looks awfully bad for Patreon.
This, if I was a lawyer, I could probably give you a better, I could definitely give you better. There's a lot better, individuals than I.
Yeah.
But I wonder what would happen if, say, like Sargon of Akkad, who got banned, and he had several thousand patrons.
Yep.
All of a sudden, every one of his patrons now filed for arbitration, saying, based on the terms before.
Right.
You banned Sargon before you changed the terms. Our dispute is over before you change the terms. Nothing to do with new terms. And the other thing, too, is I don't know what the statute of limitations would be, but if many of Sargon's patrons quit Patreon, they never agreed to the new terms, which means anybody who canceled their Patreon account after they banned even Lauren Southern or Sargon could probably, whatever, the time frame might be 2 years, who knows, make an arbitration claim. Saying you severed my contract with Sargon. And think about this. There's a real harm there, in my opinion. You had direct access to your favorite creator, to your favorite political pundit, by paying them a fee.
Right.
You could then post directly on things that gave you exclusive access. By them banning him, they took away your ability to communicate with this higher profile individual that's hard to reach. So that could cause you, that's you could argue that's a real damage. I don't know if you can argue actual damages, though, like how much money did you lose?
Right.
But I think, I'm not a lawyer again, so there's probably a lawyer sitting there going, he's so wrong, what a moron. But I don't know. I guess based on what I've heard today, it stands to reason, depending on the statute of limitations, if Sargon got banned like almost a year and a half ago, so it might be too late. But maybe the statute of limitations is 2 years.
I thought it was like 7 years or something.
For arbitration over.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
I think it. I don't know. We'll see what people are saying. Maybe there's like 2 years for claims in California or something. But imagine what would happen if like 10,000 people went after the social media company and said, we want an individual arbitration. It would cost Patreon $30 million, some ridiculous number. They don't have it.
No.
So how? And they'd be spending every waking moment of their existence in court. It's their own terms.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, the lawyer was saying that it's actually very beneficial to them. So anyway, that's the gist of the story. I don't know, what else there is to bring up as far as that goes, but this could change the game of on censorship.
Well, it's kind of along the same lines of the reforming 230.
Right.
We have to look at the way social media as a platform that everyone uses. It's the new public space. So Patreon is the way that funds the public space for specific people to reach out to the community.
Well,
if they cancel you, essentially cancel you. That's what they did, right? They banned him.
This is
what was the reason they banned him anyway?
hate speech, I think.
Okay.
But this is interesting because I guess it's a tortious interference argument.
Okay.
Like, I had a contract with this person and you broke it by banning him. That's weird, though, because imagine if, like, I agree to you, Adam, to give you $5 a month so that I can follow you on Twitter.
Okay.
Regardless of what Twitter offers me. And then if Twitter bans you, can I argue that they broke the contract I had with you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like Patreon's core function is this subscription service. So, I don't know, the whole thing seems weird.
I have the definition of tortious interference right here. says, also known as intentional interference with the contractual relations in the common law of torts, occurs when one person intentionally damages someone else's contractual or business relationships with a third party, causing economic harm.
I don't know, man. No idea.
Law speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I think? I think they might lose, but I think it'll jam up Patreon really, really bad.
Yeah.
And I think they mentioned that was actually the tactic, that it'll force them to front millions of dollars whether they have an actual claim or not.
All right.
It's going to seriously hurt Patreon.
Yeah.
Well, don't go around censoring people. You know what we need? Section 230 reform. If the speech is legal, the speech must remain.
Yep.
We can't do it, man. It's getting bad. And I'll tell you what, we're gonna segue in a second into our main story. But when people get inundated with the same thing over and over and over again, they go insane. But the problem is social media is really isolating.
Yep.
So the people who are on these platforms are following very specific bubbles.
Echo chambers.
Yep. And when the echoes keep hitting them in the face over and over again, they keep hearing the same thing.
Especially when when you've spoken about this a couple times. We'll go, one media will write something, and whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. It'll enter the echo chamber, and it'll start doing its rounds, right? And then the next company will see it and be like, oh, right, and one up it a little bit.
Exactly.
And then it continues through.
Make assumptions.
And it keeps getting a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse as it travels through the echo chamber. And by the time it comes back to the original person, it's probably a brand new story in their head.
And they see it and
then
go,
they see it. Whoa.
So
So it'll pass that along.
It'll be like this. They'll see a story that'll say like, Trump's polls drop, is this the end? Question mark.
Right.
And then they'll write like, wow, things are getting really bad for Trump. Then someone will see things are getting really bad and they'll be like, whoa, with the bad polls, Trump could be losing. Then someone writes, whoa, Trump
is losing.
Look at the polls though. Trump is losing.
Right.
Trump is losing. And then it makes it all the way back to the original guy who wrote the first story. And it says, this is the end for Trump. It's game over. And he goes, I knew it. Game over for Trump.
See?
Yep.
I knew it. I called this yesterday.
Exactly.
Right.
And then someone else sees it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you don't actually get stories where it's like just really crazy. Donald Trump did a triple backflip off the roof of the White House. Perfect 10. The Olympic Committee was there. Went nuts. Purple monkey dishwasher. Just like increasingly insane.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess that shows you there's like a thread of standards left of these companies.
Maybe.
Because you think about it, if someone wrote a story saying like look what they were saying about Donald Trump walking down the ramp. Remember
Slowly.
that? I watched the video. I was like, huh?
Yeah, it's like, what if
nothing happened?
Sometimes ramps don't have like grit on them, like a sandpaper. Sometimes they do, and if they don't, and it's just a slick surface, I wouldn't want to walk fast. And,
but hold
fall
on,
down?
wait. Did you watch the video?
I did.
He's just walking.
Yeah,
nothing
he's walking.
unique about it.
It's not walking fast, but sure, he's a 7-year-old guy. Like, what do you expect?
I noticed nothing.
Spinning a cane,
Doing the Lindy Hop.
No,
hold on.
Who cares?
The point is, there was no story at all.
Yeah, that's what I don't
pressed
understand.
play and nothing happened. He wasn't walking slow. He wasn't walking fast. He was just walking down a ramp. That's it.
Yeah, I was like, why are we
And then
watching
someone
this?
was like, doesn't it look like he's walking slow? And then someone writes, he is walking slow. And someone's like, what's wrong with Trump? Is he dying? And then it's like, Trump is very sick as evidenced by his inability to walk. And the next one is like, Trump is bedridden. And the next one is like, Trump must be gone.
The drinking water thing. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So someone hit me up with that. They're like, well, look at this. How do you explain that? And I was like, well, actually, it makes perfect sense. Look at the sleeves of his suit. So I modeled suits for a long time.
Oh, that explains it.
And a lot of the time, if the sleeves are too thin,
You can't
make this gesture because it bunches up right
So
here.
he pushed it.
And looking at it, that's exactly what happened. He like went and it was like, nope. And he was like, oh. And then he helped his arm.
You've got to like push your
finish.
arm out.
Yeah.
You
have to bring up the extra bits. And like he didn't. He reached down and went to bring it up.
Got tight
and
on
it
his
looks
elbow.
goofy, but it makes perfect sense.
You know what?
It's like, hello.
But listen.
Come on.
It doesn't even matter because imagine a world where Donald Trump drinks water and it becomes an international news story.
That's how low they go, though.
You know what I call it?
What?
Scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard they're pulling up wood chips.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're like, "Yarr!" And they pull up a chunk of wood and they're like, I think it's food.
We got it. Look.
So I looked up the definition, like the meaning of scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a reference to when the food was not left.
Yeah.
You scrape the edges to get what little bit of food you could.
Okay.
So I'm just imagining, like that's my analogy. And then I've actually gone crazy with it because just when you think they can't get any crazier, it's like they do.
Yep.
And so I called it scraping at the bottom of the barrel when they complained about Trump, like saying a certain thing to a certain politician.
Yeah.
Then it was like, Trump's ice cream, and I'm like, that's scraping the bottom of the barrel. Then it was like, Trump walking down a ramp, and it's like, wow, they're pulling up wood chips. Then it's like Trump is drinking water, and I'm like, man, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel so hard, there's no bottom left, and they're pulling up dirt.
Yep.
There's like,
It's
we
just
found
dirt now.
more food down here. What is it? I don't know. Eat it.
Going to China.
It's filled with B12.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah, there's lots of B12 in dirt.
Well, there you go. They found a
Random
way.
nutrient facts.
Well, let's get to the main story, everybody. If you haven't already, make sure you destroy the like button.
Decimate it.
Give a little tap.
Decimate it from space.
Decimate means to reduce by 10%.
Okay.
I'm just
Makes sense.
Factoid.
Decimal.
Reduce
Yeah.
the like button by 10%. That
Now-
doesn't sound as good.
I'm pulling hairs though.
That's kind of a shame because decimate sounds awesome. That's a
I was-
cool
I-
word.
well, 'cause
Decimate that like button.
I brought that up because I was reading something on Reddit where they were like, decimate is now used colloquially to refer to like destruction.
Okay.
But it was a specific reference to reduction by 10%. Deci meaning 10 or whatever.
That's funny.
So anyway, yeah, but subscribe as well. If you haven't subscribed, you really should. Subscribing and liking and notification bell, you're telling YouTube you really like us. And then when you do that, YouTube says maybe other people will like them and then shares it.
So you
And
should
that's-
smash that like button, basically.
Yeah.
Smash it.
And shares and all that
Smash it all.
stuff.
Smash
But interacting with YouTube, engagement, comments, and super chats. Because that's how YouTube, the algorithm works, I guess.
Nice.
I don't know exactly how it works. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got a crazy story for you. Check this out. Alaska Airlines flight makes an emergency landing in Seattle after passenger threatens to kill everybody on this plane unless you accept Jesus was a black man. Now, why would he be saying that right now of all times? You know?
Sean King.
Not just Sean King, though. It's the insanity of the news cycle.
That's true.
Black Lives Matter is painted everywhere. This zealotry, this fanaticism it's over the top. It's absolutely over the top.
I mean, no one's out arguing that Jesus was a white dude. He was
Some people
Middle
are.
Eastern. It's like,
I think for the most part, people accept he was a Jew from
yeah.
Israel or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Nazareth.
everyone
Yeah.
agrees on that. Like, who are they yelling at? Who,
Well,
who are they
but-
fighting with?
But
this?
there are people who, like I watched a video on this. Jesus was depicted by every different race as their race.
Yeah, and that's
Like
that's
in
how-
Japanese
that's how it should
art,
be.
in Indian art.
It's like
in
the God
African
that you
art.
worship, whoever it is, make it who you want it to be. Like, I don't understand what's wrong
Well,
with
each
that.
culture thinks it represents them.
Yeah.
Each race, you know what I mean?
Well-
That doesn't even matter to me. Like, look, Jesus was a Jew from Nazareth.
Right.
He was Jewish. He was from Nazareth. I don't. If you can believe whatever you want to believe, man. Some people believe.
Agreed.
Like some people believe some really crazy stuff,
Yes, they do.
like white privilege.
Yes.
I'm kidding. It's a joke.
Well, whatever. Everyone can believe whatever they want to believe. You know?
Right,
If
right,
they
right.
think Jesus was black, that's okay.
But
Believe
to
that
go on a plane
and force it upon someone
and
else.
threaten people. So check this out. This is bound for O'Hare, man, of all
Oh
places.
gosh.
They say in Alaska, video footage from the incident shows the man wearing a face mask moving through the cabin of Flight 422 bound for Chicago, yelling, "I will kill everybody in this plane unless you accept Jesus was a black man." As he moves past alarmed passengers in the seats, he is heard shouting, "Accept it and die in the name of Jesus" multiple times.
That's frightening.
Look at this guy. This guy's nuts. And he looks like a white dude. According to Alaska Airlines, the flight took off around 11:15 p.m. from Seattle Tacoma Airport, and the incident kicked off 20 minutes in. Gee, Seattle. Huh.
What is
How
up
about
with
that?
Seattle?
You want to hear something crazy, bro? I was talking about this story. In Portland, they let off 59 people on charges for protesting.
Yeah.
9 of them were for felony rioting charges, including arson, and their charges were dropped.
What?
Charges dropped. You got something going on crazy
Yeah,
in the Pacific
definitely.
Northwest. But you know what the craziest part is?
What?
In the story, they talk about how often the police will arrest these extremists,
Yeah.
and the grand juries refuse to indict.
Why?
Grand juries are not innocent until proven guilty. Grand juries are a preponderance of evidence, meaning a grand jury is just the court says, look at this guy bragging about throwing a Molotov cocktail. Here's him standing next to a fire. That should be enough for a grand jury to be like, okay, put him to trial, and then you get a jury to determine innocent,
Ah, I see.
to determine probable cause or whatever.
Right.
They couldn't even get that far. So this person was found standing next to a burning building, like inside it. But that's where they were arrested.
Yeah.
Agreed. They posted online apparently to friends. They did it.
Wow.
And then
admitted to
when
it.
it came to the grand jury, they said, no, it wasn't me. And the grand jury was like, let him go.
Like, well, they said it's not them, so we're just going to have to trust them on this one.
Did you see they
Nice
called,
grand jury.
you see they called it the feds an occupying army?
Who called them that?
The Democrats. Senator Tom Wyden.
Where are they occupying? Out over in the Northwest,
Their
right?
own federal courthouse. Let's talk about this next. Let's finish. Let's talk about this story. We'll get to this
my
one
goodness.
next. But it's everything Trump supporters said was going to happen.
Yeah.
That they were waiting for Trump to make a move. We'll come to this one. We'll save that one. Let's finish
Put a
the.
pin in that.
I don't want to derail on this airline story. So apparently it took 3 people to subdue this guy. They say the man became extremely belligerent and physically aggressive during the ascent. An Alaska Airlines spokesman said 3 passengers, including a law enforcement officer and a flight attendant, helped to subdue the man. In the clip obtained by NBC King 5 station, the men are seen following the suspect down the aisle while everyone else is buckled in during the ascent. One man then shoves the suspect and is joined by a second gentleman who helps to subdue him. Video filmed by a passenger shows the pair take him down as a flight attendant rushes over with what appears to be zip ties to restrain his wrists.
Wow.
A worried woman moves out of her seat before the flight attendant climbs over the chair to get to the suspect. That's crazy, dude. Look at this dude. Crazy. A man detaining the suspect is heard yelling at him to stay on the ground, and one is seen reassuring passengers that everything will be okay. Cabin crew then announced the flight will be landing at the nearest airport. The plane was forced to return to its origin.
Wow.
Following the emergency landing, the man was taken off board by Port of Seattle police. He was reportedly cooperative and booked into King County Jail. He was not immediately charged with the crime, but was being investigated on suspicion of harassment. Are you nuts? Terroristic threats.
He was threatening
You're on
to
a
kill everyone on the
plane.
plane. What?
Dude, I'm
How is
telling
that
you,
not
man,
terrorists?
morality policing.
Yeah, you're right.
They're going to let this guy go. And they're going to pull some BS like, well, in this case, we don't think he really meant kill. He was talking about saving them. They say he was unharmed during the detainment, and no passengers were reported to be physically harmed. The flight was canceled, and the remaining passengers were booked on another flight to Chicago, Illinois. This is crazy, man. Well, you know what? I bring you now to this story from Snopes. I'm very happy that I get to use Snopes for this fact check. Did activist Sean King say white Jesus statues should come down?
Oh, goodness.
King's tweet came as statues of historical figures were being toppled or removed in 2020. Correct attribution.
Wow.
Thank you, Snopes.
Wow, they actually
And then they show
nailed
it. Here's what he said. Yes, I think the statues of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down. They are a form of white supremacy, always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down, he said. Look at this. Yes, all murals and stained glass windows of white Jesus and his European mother and their white friends should also come down. They are a gross form of white supremacy created as tools of oppression, racist propaganda. They should all come down.
I knew it. I knew they were going to go after Mary. I said that when
They burned.
when he first said it.
They burned a statue of Mary.
A couple, right?
They burned one and they tagged another. This is over the top, man. This is an attack on the core of like many people's beings.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like I mentioned this earlier. You could tear down a statue of someone you idealize, like you look up to,
Yeah.
a founding father maybe. The Virgin Mary is something way different. That's like someone reaching into your heart and squeezing. Like this is an attack on your faith, your world, your life.
Yep.
It's way more serious. As far as, based on my perspective, I haven't been involved in any of the, religious stuff since I was a little kid.
Same.
But it's very, very different, man. You can get into a political argument, but religious stuff that's crazy.
Freedom of religion.
You want to know what comes next, in my opinion?
Oh,
Maybe
goodness.
not next. But I'll tell you
What
this,
is it?
man. We were briefly watching the beginning of the new Fahrenheit 451.
Okay.
It's really well done. The one with Michael B. Jordan and Michael Shannon. I think
Okay.
his name is. We were watching the beginning of it. And it's a really well-written scene where Michael Shannon is showing Michael B. Jordan all these books they found, explaining why they have to destroy them. He's like, do you know what's inside these books? Insanity. He's like, philosophy. Or the first thing he brings up, he's like, people trying to give their lives meaning, read about people who don't even exist, these stories. And he's like, and philosophy. Some tell you that you have free will. The others say everything's predetermined. It's nonsense. But then he starts getting into offense culture. Mm-hmm. You write a story that's offensive, and the feminists are now getting all angry, saying, how could you write this? They want those books burned, so they do. And he goes, Huckleberry Finn. And then he says, see, they knew this was offensive to you, to the black man, so they have to destroy this book. Then he finds another book and he says, see, this one was offensive to white people, so they destroy this book. And he basically talks about how the different knowledge made people angry at each other, and by destroying it all, they were able to unify, right? That made me think, you know what's going to happen at some point if we stay on this track? They will destroy every copy of the Constitution. They will burn it, and they'll cheer as they do. Mm-hmm. And then when they find you still holding it and believing it, they'll say, that was a document made by white supremacist slave owners who created it to protect themselves and their slaveocracy. And you're a white supremacist for defending it.
And yet Frederick Douglass used those exact words.
That's why they tore him down.
In that Constitution to prove that all men are created equal. And they tore his statue down. And
we don't know who tore it down.
It doesn't matter. It was torn down. Why was it torn down?
I think it was torn down by the far left.
I think so
That's
too.
The point. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And it's because one day there will be a mother and a child of any race. Mm-hmm. And they'll be walking past the park, and the child will say, who's that? And she'll say, that's Frederick Douglass. Yep. He challenged Americans to uphold their own standards of their Constitution for all Americans. He helped end slavery.
Yep.
Wow. Tear him down. No one will ever ask who he was, what he contributed, what were his ideas, why do we cherish him, why do we look up to him?
The first thing he
that
did
dude was
when
a beast, man.
when getting
awesome.
free was to get educated. He walked all the way to the first college that would teach him, and he learned.
Dude,
and he showed, and he was. It's amazing.
It's like
his path is an incredible story.
We'll get to it, but it's like that one dude in the Uncle Tom film. Do you know what I'm talking about?
They talk about this in the Uncle Tom film. Yeah.
But what's that guy's name who was like he's like, I went to my boss and was like, why aren't I getting a raise?
And it's like, well, the other guy had a master's.
Yeah, and he's like, so you know what I did? I got me a master's. And then I came back and I was like, I got a master's now. Sure enough, he got a promotion and a raise.
Yep, exactly.
I love that story of like, so anyway,
we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll come back to this.
That.
But that's why they tear down statues.
That's it.
Because when you learn, like, people don't realize this, dude. So many philosophies did not exist at one point, and many more will emerge in the future. We don't know.
Yep.
But before the American Revolution, government was by divine providence. It was like the king is the king because the Lord mandated as such.
Right. And you had no choice.
Yeah,
that's it.
Like, that's it. And then all of a sudden, it was it's a literal liberalism, real liberalism, the right of the governed, the consent of the governed, to started to emerge. And then all of a sudden, these founding fathers were like, "Nah, hold up, you know, we can do our own thing. We don't need you."
Yep.
And that was like a revolution. It was an ideological revolution.
Yep.
That's why the American Revolution is so important. That's why they have to change history. What are they saying now? America was created 1619. They want that revelation to be destroyed.
Yep, that's
Why
true.
did they tear down Frederick Douglass? Assuming it was the far left, which I believe it was, it's because he was the person who said he one-upped everything. He watered the tree of liberty.
Yeah, that's true.
This idea emerged among these white slave owners, and they did not fully grasp it. Although people have mentioned the first draft of the Declaration would abolish slavery.
Yep.
But southern states were like, nah, and they needed the military support. I'm not saying it was the right thing. It was just they created this document where they had these beliefs in it, but it wasn't fully enforced. Then you ended up with people in the future, people like Frederick Douglass, who watered that tree, and that tree flourished, making one of the best countries, if not the best country on the planet. So they got to tear them down. They got to burn the books. They got to ban the books. They got to ban the movies. They got to ban the art because they don't want you to know. Because these ideas are inventions. These ideas are, the idea of the consent of the governed, innocent until proven guilty. These are created. These are ideas that come together from people who stood on the shoulders of giants, the people who came before them.
Yep.
They got to tear those giants down, and everything on top falls down with it. That's what scares me about all of this stuff. So anyway, look, when it comes to the stuff about the guy in the plane with, Black Jesus and all that stuff, that's the scary part, the fanaticism.
Yep.
That's the part where they're just like, they're reading this stuff online, and they're going insane. And they think everyone's a Nazi. They think they're living in the Star Wars empire, and everyone's a stormtrooper.
Yep.
They go to let's talk about what's going on in Portland. So in Portland, we're now on day like 44 or 45 of these riots.
Okay.
These people are trying to burn down the federal courthouse. apparently Andy No tweeted one guy had a hammer, and he was like bashing through the window. And when the marshals came out, he whacked one of the marshals in the head with the hammer, and so they subdued him or whatever. So now that we have ongoing riots for over a month, not a peep. Where's the news? Where's the big breaking story? Where's the federal courthouse being besieged?
No,
nowhere.
I don't see it anywhere.
I was talking to a friend earlier, and they told me, I mentioned someone got fired from their job for posting a video where they said they didn't support the rioting and the looting. And the response I got from my friend was, yeah, but the rioting and looting has been over for a long time. And I said, no, it isn't. They declared a state of emergency in Utah like this week.
Yeah.
Like it was literally last Monday, I think. No, last Monday was Georgia. Friday was Utah.
Right.
And Portland's still going on. Yep. The media's not talking about it. So you know what they say now? They got the feds deployed, the U.S. Marshals, at a federal courthouse.
Yep.
Tom Wyden, a senator, said that Trump was using an occupying army against peaceful protesters.
That's ridiculous.
Peaceful.
When they're attacking them with hammers.
Attacking a federal courthouse.
Yeah.
It's federal jurisdiction.
Right.
This is exactly what Trump supporters said was going to happen.
Yep.
Remember?
Yeah.
As
true.
soon as Trump sent in federal forces or the military or anything, they would claim he was a dictator.
This is what I was saying.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
You got to give me the credit, Tim.
But it was a larger
Say it.
This is not fair. It was a very.
I was saying it. That's what I've been talking about.
Sure, but it's
a trap. They wanted him to do this. As soon as he did it, they're going to be like, "Ha, we got you, authoritarian." Blah.
But you know what's funny about it?
What?
They did, but it's the weakest iteration of whatever that was supposed to be. So it reminds me of SpongeBob and Patrick, and like the city's burning, and SpongeBob's like, "We did it, Patrick. We saved the city." Do you know that meme?
Mm-mm.
So it's an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Okay.
The whole city's burnt to the ground, but SpongeBob's like, "We saved it." So it's like they've let these riots go on for over a month.
Yep.
And Trump doesn't move, and then finally, after like a month and a half, you had one of the marshals fired a less lethal munition. It hit some guy in the head. And then they were like, now's our chance. And they come out standing amid the rubble of their destroyed city. Trump's sent an occupying army in, and there's fires everywhere. And there's like people beating each other. It's like, you don't look too good standing atop this pile of rubble complaining about Trump doing it.
Right.
You want to point fingers.
Yeah.
Got a few pointing back at yourself.
Everything is Trump's fault.
Always,
Everything
always.
leads back to Trump.
You know what? Here's the funny.
I'm getting sick of it.
Here's the funny thing, though. When I saw the article from Willamette Weekly, the headline said it was like governor and senators in Oregon condemn Trump's use of, quote, occupying army on protesters.
Okay.
What I thought it meant was that Trump called them the occupying army because they put occupying army in quotes.
Right.
I thought they were saying use of the phrase against them. Like Trump came out and said, for a month, this occupying army's been attacking.
Right.
And then I realized, I was like, wait, they're calling the federal officers in a federal courthouse an occupying army?
Right.
What? What are you talking about? It's a federal building.
Right.
I was like, that made no sense. That's why I interpreted it different. I thought Trump was calling the Antifa, who was attacking and besieging the courthouse, an occupying army.
And now you got Minneapolis asking for federal help. They're besieging the president. Please help us now. Look at this. Like, look, how are you not helping us with this
all
now?
on fire. What happened?
Now you want his help?
They want 15.
Make up your mind.
$8 million something. It's not the biggest. The total damage is 500, but
Yeah.
Trump was like, nope.
Yeah.
So that was brutal, man.
Yeah.
Tim Walz asked Trump to declare Minnesota a disaster zone, and he was like, nope.
Yeah, you did this to yourself.
You know what I think, man? I feel bad for the local businesses.
Absolutely.
I feel bad for the innocent civilians.
For the people that live there, sure.
Only so far. You know why? Because they voted for these people.
That's a good point.
You want to vote for a city council that's going to abolish your police department? Then don't come crawling to me asking for money when people go around burning your buildings down.
And don't call the police.
This is the problem.
When you're in trouble.
The problem is, I'm sure there's a lot of good people that need help. I get it. But if you live in a community that has an ideology, then maybe you can't live there anymore. I don't know, man. Listen, if the feds just keep bailing out this bad leadership for all their mistakes, it's only going to get worse. We can't just keep putting duct tape on this stuff.
Exactly.
New York has been asking for money since before COVID. because they're facing a massive, like $7.4 billion budget shortfall. Then COVID hits, and it's like there's no taxes anymore because no one's buying anything, no one's getting paid. And so they're like, uh-oh, the trains are going to collapse. What do we do?
Well, we'll cut the police budget by $1 billion.
How convenient.
Sure, how convenient.
And then Bill de
Right.
Blasio got mad because Trump was like, I'm not giving you money.
Well, and you know, the whole someone actually banned me today on Facebook. They posted a meme about the statistics of opening schools. This is a new battlefield, opening schools
So
versus
dumb.
not opening schools. And someone was posting, they had this meme that had all this nice math, and you know, it was like, oh, it's got a 1% death rate. And I said, you realize over 40%, 46% or 47% maybe, I don't know the exact, I think it's like 46% of all deaths came from New York, from nursing homes, from Cuomo putting in sick patients
Yep.
into these places.
And Murphy was worse.
And
he
I-
actually had a higher percentage.
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey,
So
yep.
I didn't even know this.
Worse.
So I just said that, and I was like, you know, so these numbers don't make sense. Period. That's it. I didn't like attack him for it. I was just, hey, that math is wrong. And he swore at me, said, "Do you want to get bounced?" And then he called me some words, and then and then I guess bounced me off his page.
Wow.
No loss to me because you're spreading false information, and I can't stand that anymore.
You know what, Ben Shapiro,
Pisses me
I think
off.
it was Ben Shapiro made a really, really good point that I loved it.
What?
So he's like, I'll paraphrase it. It was a tweet, so I want to try and make it, you know, the full context. You've got all these different states that are seeing spikes in cases.
Yeah.
But they're mostly asymptomatic, it seems.
And the death numbers
Right.
keep going down.
So I've seen
They're going
listen,
down and down. Go.
I've seen a lot of people say, yeah, but that's because there's a delay between confirmed case and when they die, which means in 2 weeks the death rate's going to skyrocket.
Sure.
2 weeks on, it has not skyrocketed.
Yeah.
The increase following Labor Day and the Black Lives Matter protest, we have not seen an increase in deaths.
Nope.
In fact, there's now murmuring. I think it came from Ron Paul. I'm not entirely sure. So fact check me on this one. Saying the death numbers globally don't even qualify for a pandemic anymore. It's below those levels.
Huh.
Ben Shapiro made a really good point. He said the reason that New York City is doing so well right now is because Cuomo and de Blasio let the virus run roughshod over the city, killing everybody. Now they basically have herd immunity.
Right.
So why are they're all cheering like, yay, the numbers are down. It's Patrick and SpongeBob going, we saved the
They
city,
saved
and there's
New York
fires
City.
everywhere.
Yep.
The people who would get sick and die, the vulnerable people died. Many people got sick. Now there's like herd immunity, and now we're seeing lower infection rates and lower death rates because the vulnerable people are already dead.
Ugh.
I hate talking about coronavirus.
Me too. Me too. I'm sick of it. The numbers don't make sense. They don't add up. We've always been a little on the, is this really going on?
No, I mean,
You know?
I think it's I take it seriously, but at
Sure.
a certain point when you realize we've lost, and I don't blame Trump for it. I was talking to a friend of mine who said that in their state, the guidelines are all backwards, broken, confusing, contradictory, and make no sense. Like you can't wear a mask doing this. You have to wear a mask doing this. You can touch people for certain jobs and not this one. The cops don't have to wear a mask, but you do. How does any of this make sense?
Or the whole hydrochloroquine.
Oh man, don't get me started.
Well, I mean, but we're talking about it. Whatever. It's like the doctors have now said, yes, this is an incredible drug that's cheap and it helps people survive this pandemic.
We've had another report that basically said it increases survival likelihood. And it doesn't necessarily negate all the other ones, but let me tell you the problem, man. Fauci comes out and he was laughing about it in this interview. He's like, don't buy masks. The Surgeon General was like, stop buying masks.
Yep.
And the reasoning was apparently we were worried people would buy the masks the doctors needed. Sure. But they could have come out and said, if you are at home, you need a cloth mask to prevent you from spreading it to other people. What is it?
Like, it sounds like a fire truck.
Oh, word.
Street sweeper?
Fire truck.
No, that's an alarm. That's not a street sweeper. But it's getting louder.
Oh boy, if the house
yeah.
burns down,
No
y'all will
worries.
get to see it.
Well, it's not our house burning down.
No, we're good.
Maybe apocalypse is happening, but
Okay.
it's about time. It's the wedding I can't stand.
We are really pushing the boundaries on what we talk about, though.
What do you mean, like getting banned?
I mean, that's a fire truck, though. I
Yeah.
know that sound.
It is a
So,
fire truck. I don't know if you can actually hear it on the podcast.
Maybe. It's pretty loud, though.
It's getting louder. It's really annoying.
They're coming for us. Here,
What,
wait.
to put the fire out?
I'll spin the UFO.
right.
and
Well, so
and
look.
be fine.
while he's spinning the UFO, I'll just point this out, and everybody realized it at this point. Fauci deserves nothing but criticism. They've sidelined him for a reason, and we're seeing these news stories where they're like, Fauci is being sidelined. Yeah, well, the dude was wrong you know what Fauci was doing?
What?
He'd be like, 2 days after a news story would come out, he'd go, yeah, let's not wear masks. Then 2 days, then they run stories saying, better wear masks. 2 days later, he goes, better
Maybe we
wear
should.
masks.
Right.
I was like, wait a minute. Fauci just comes out 2 days after the news cycle and just agrees with the media. He doesn't know what he's talking about, does he?
Right.
man.
I've seen too many videos of different doctors sitting in their doctor's office talking about COVID, going, "This is ridiculous. What we're going
There's
through
only
right
one
now."
thing that needs to be said.
What's that?
If you need to know what to do, you ask your doctor.
Yes.
Ignore everybody else. Ignore me. Ignore Adam. Ignore Trump.
Yep.
Ignore Alex Jones.
Boom.
Ignore Fauci. Ask your doctor what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the safest thing you can do.
Absolutely.
And if the guidelines are good and correct and everything, your doctor's going to know what's up.
Absolutely.
Everybody else is just trying to play games. You know, like Fauci's got his position he's got to maintain. How come Fauci never came out and condemned the protests, the riots?
Because that wasn't his job.
Well, he can talk about people needing to wear masks. He talks about the anti-science and the anti-masking and stuff like that. Well, why didn't he come out and say we shouldn't have thousands of people crammed into tight spaces?
Well, he did start talk. Actually, it's funny. That was the last time I remember hearing from him. He said, you know, there's a chance that, like, you know, the all these protests might not be a good thing. We might see an uptick in cases.
Yeah.
That was the
They
last
cut
time.
him off,
That was the
huh?
last time I heard from Fauci.
Interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. let's jump back to this. We have another story that I really think
This is terrible.
we need to cover this story, man. So this is from the Gateway Pundit. I am not a fan of the Gateway Pundit because they have published questionable things in the past. However, the story is written by Cassandra Fairbanks, who I know and trust, and I did personally confirm this story. The reason I'm using this segment instead of just showing you the actual Facebook page, the headline is, Black Lives Matter sociopaths raid Facebook page of young mom murdered for saying all lives matter, torment her family. I could pull up the Facebook, but it's my Facebook with all my messages and friends and stuff and, you know, personal stuff. But I did confirm this. This is legit, 100%. Cassandra, she hit me up and she was like, dude, you got to see this. Is insane. I don't even know if I can show what these people are posting. They're posting crazy stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's bad.
for those that aren't familiar with this story, there was a young woman in Indiana. She was walking by a canal, apparently walked past some other people who said Black Lives Matter to her. She responded with All Lives Matter. Argument breaks out. Apparently both groups were armed, so they like chilled out and said, no, we don't want to, fist bumped. Then when this woman and her her friend or her fiance or whatever walked away, once they got to this bridge, the other group turned, ran back, and opened fire, shooting her 3 times, 1 in the head. She's dead. Why isn't this story national news? You want to know what's even crazier?
Why?
It was
Or what?
It was posted to Reddit on Unpopular Opinion,
yeah, that's
saying
right.
the story of the woman killed by a Black Lives Matter supporter for saying all lives matter should be national news, removed for trolling.
Wow.
For trolling?
For trolling.
Seriously?
Reddit has become a cesspool, wasteland of just garbage.
Yeah, you're not allowed,
Garbage.
I guess you're not allowed to post anything about POC assaulting anyone
Being
else.
aggressive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being
It's a violation
aggressive.
of administrator or site-wide policies. Yep. So they removed it. And now the story is on the Facebook page for this woman, these supporters, these Black Lives Matter people are showing up and saying the rest of you are next and things like that.
That's terrible.
They're posting it. There's thousands of comments.
So Terry Crews was absolutely right to
Yeah, he
say
was.
we got to make sure Black Lives Better doesn't become Black Lives Better. Like, you know what? This is what it really annoys me. It's like people think when someone says Black Lives Matter, they're saying other lives don't matter. And that's not true. Black lives do matter. Period. You know, and then when someone responds with all lives matter,
true.
That is also true.
They're both true statements.
It's like
I'm fine with both.
nothing wrong with either statement, you know, and it's like everything has been weaponized to divide us and split us, and we have to figure out a way to step back from that weaponization of these words that are all true. All lives matter. Black lives matter. All of the every single one of those. Everybody matters. You know?
But it's a tribal thing.
Yeah, it is.
And that's why somebody would die. I don't know if I can actually show some of these posts because they're brutally racist, man. I'm not gonna show him. Nah, I can't do it. It's like hardcore racism, pro-death, gloating.
See, this is crazy. You know, we've talked about this many times. Like, and even in that documentary that we're going to talk about next,
Uncle Tom
goes into a lot of like racism was not really around, and it's reared its ugly head, not because of Trump. Everyone is trying to bring up this.
Well, hold on.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of information that's true to bring that up. Go ahead.
I'm going to rebut. I say racism was around.
Of course.
But
to say that racism doesn't exist, I am not saying that. Racism exists.
Here's the best part. They complain about institutional racism.
Right.
They're making it.
Yes.
They're making the institutional racism.
Exactly.
Like I bring it up a million times, but California, oh man, I wish I had this pulled up. The vote to repeal California's civil rights law. Right. It's amazing because it says yes and no for support or oppose on Ballotpedia. And it's like, yes would strike the following text. The state shall not discriminate against a person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's crazy. Right.
They're you know literally repealing the Civil Rights Act.
And they are creating institutional racism. Exactly. And they're doing something smart, claiming they're fighting against it. Yep. So here's what happens.
No, even worse. They're convincing everyone else that that's what they're doing.
That's how the racists...
And they are convinced.
The racists figured it out. That if you want these laws and everybody hates racism, you need to invert what racism is to confuse the people. So I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was talking about their support for Black Lives Matter activism. Yeah. And I said, I understand the surface level of, you know, what your support represents. Yeah. But do you understand what they're proposing? What the changes they're proposing are? The activism, they're funding, the organizers? No? Okay. You need to understand that when you go out and you support them, you're empowering things that you're not paying attention to. Exactly. Maybe you agree. Maybe you don't. But surprise, surprise, whenever I show people the repeal 209, they say, oh my, that's insane. Yep. And I'm like, well, maybe you should be paying attention to what these people are doing in your name when you stand next to them waving your little flags and defending them. Boom. But they don't do it. Nope. And this is what you get. You get an escalation of just the craziest stuff. So, you know, I'll give a shout out to Jessica Whitaker's family. They've raised $66,000. I'm glad to see it. It's a sad story. It is. No amount of money is ever going to bring back, you know, this person. It's going to give that child their mother back. It's going to give that father his daughter back.
4-year-old.
Yeah. Three-year-old, I think.
3-year-old.
Is that wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
3, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
A father lost his life. A man lost his fiance. A little girl lost her mom.
I mean, this is just the amount of people that have lost their lives in the past month.
Dozens.
I'm speechless. I'm angry. It pisses me off that none of them matter.
Exactly.
None of them matter. None of them. And they're all racist.
And look at
everybody's dying. Everyone's getting killed. Nobody cares. They're not out there fighting. They're still just chanting George Floyd's name, who, as far as I'm concerned, is dying in vain.
Well, George Floyd got justice.
Right.
All the cops got arrested.
Yep.
On some serious charges.
Yeah.
No one supported them.
Right. No one did. Nobody did.
And they went out, and then a bunch of people died. And where was the condemnation? David Dorn. Good guy.
There's countless of names.
Yep.
I can't even, I don't even know where to begin.
None of their lives mattered.
And why? Why is that the case?
I'll tell you
why
this.
don't those lives matter? I don't understand that. And no one can
political
explain
power.
it.
It's
the only thing that makes sense.
Look, it's a power game.
Their lives obviously matter. You ask anybody and they'll say, of course their lives mattered. But. Exactly.
Don't you but that.
Now, if you want someone's name plastered all over the press, then I want other victims' names in the press.
Absolutely.
You don't get to tell me what name is the most important to plaster all over the country and riot over. If we, this is the problem. This woman, the crazy thing about this is,
what?
This story was broken, I believe, by Cassandra Fairbanks like a week after it had happened.
Really?
Because no one knew. The local reporters didn't explain what happened. They said, due to an argument over Black Lives Matter and language. And then Cassandra contacted the family, and they were like, she said all lives matter, so they shot her. And then the Daily Wire and the Daily Caller and a bunch of other journalists confirmed. The family said, she said all lives matter.
It's messed up.
They shot and killed her.
Or that guy in Wisconsin who was targeted because he was riding a Harley.
What happened with this?
A white guy driving a Harley, someone targeted and ran him over and killed him. And his response was, well, all white supremacists ride Harleys. And it's like,
That's what the guy said?
yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like,
targeted him
are
'cause
you
he was
kidding
white.
me? And riding like a hog.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, all white guys on
So what do you-
bikes like that are supremacists. It's like,
Yep.
where are you getting that information from?
This is what happens when you let this kind of psychotic identitarianism take over the media.
Yeah.
And it runs amok.
That
Look-
is racism. Hello, that is racism. They're targeting
They changed the
people
definition of racism, bro.
specifically of a certain race that isn't their own because they think they need to be killed.
They changed the definition of racism. That way you can't argue anymore.
Well,
They did it on purpose.
they didn't change my definition of racism.
They didn't change the dictionary changed it. This is the game they're playing.
Sure.
And they're gaining the ground. They're taking the high ground. The dictionary now includes a circuitous definition of the word racism.
Right, so it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. It's a recursive loop. The definition of racism in the new Merriam-Webster references itself. Its own word in the definition. They're breaking everything.
Yep, they're terrorizing the American
Check this out.
citizens,
Check this out.
and it's terrible.
Economist YouGov poll. Association slogans. Do the following slogans carry a positive or a negative association to you? All lives matter. Positive, total, 53%. Male and female, 54 and 53. High school or less is 62, but look at this. Post-grad is 38%. That's actually amazing. Post-grads, they're college-educated people. They tend to be the woke ultra-lefties.
Yeah.
And 38% have a positive association of all lives matter.
Okay.
That's interesting.
So
That's
not all
interesting.
of them go crazy.
And look at this. Here's the best one. Let's go to race. 58% positive, black.
For all lives matter?
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. And Hispanic is 47. Other is 40. I guess other is Asian. Sure. Great. Thanks, YouGov.
Thanks, guys.
White is 55%. 65 plus is 70%. Let me see if I can scroll down and see if they have the Association for Black Lives Matter. Here we go. Association for Black Lives Matter among the black community is 73%. So this is amazing. It seems like the black community understands that both are positive.
Yeah, that's good.
At least mostly. Both are positive. Not everybody,
And
but
they
many.
they are.
Yeah. And look at this. High school or less has a 42%. Some college a 44% positive association with Black Lives Matter. The total is only 48%. Check that out.
So more people think all lives matter is
positive
than
yep.
the other way around. Yeah.
So for all, 48% of people have a positive view of Black Lives Matter. 30% have a negative view. All lives matter is a 23% negative and a 53% positive. Dare I say, all lives matter is more popular, more likely to be associated with positivity than Black Lives Matter.
I want to do the same poll with no lives matter.
See what people think.
It's going to be all negative.
I'm only slightly joking.
No
you know,
lives
because
matter.
like in the scheme of things, like what are we? You know,
No lives matter.
like that's the great span of the universe. Like I always, those who follow me on Twitter, which you can follow me right there, Adam Krigler. You know I post a lot of space stuff, and I'm constantly thinking about space, about what our position is in this immense place, which is the universe. It's like we are nothing. We are lucky to be alive on this bubble, of oxygen, flying around the sun. We are so lucky to be here.
Nitrogen atom.
Oh, excuse me.
It's what 70
Actually.
actually Adam, it's nitrogen. It's
What was
Well
that?
deserved.
nitrogen. Yeah, anyway, continue.
Anyway.
We're lucky to be on the little pale blue dot.
We very much so. You're right. Absolutely. We
magic,
are all
man.
lucky to be
It's-
alive right now. I can't stop thinking about this movie, Uncle Tom. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it.
Let's pop over to it.
Let's talk about it. So this movie just came out. Larry Elder did it. He's the director, and he wrote most of it and did a lot of the research and brought a lot of people on to do this movie. And it shows the black conservative side of things. And let me just read it here. It says, what does it say there? It says, a collection of intimate interviews with some of America's most provocative black conservative thinkers. Uncle Tom takes a different look at being black in America. And not only that, it shows the history of civil rights from a different perspective that I wasn't alive through it, and I don't I don't know that history, and honestly, it's not taught. I had to learn it through this, and I think everyone needs to see this, whether or not you're a Democrat, Republican. It doesn't matter.
Well, this is my challenge to anybody who claims to support Black Lives Matter to watch this.
I agree.
Because my question is, if you believe that Black Lives Matter, then what about these individuals?
Right.
You know, these people who are speaking up and speaking out, who want to be heard. Do their lives matter? Do what they think? I think yes. I think 100%.
Absolutely.
I think Black Lives Matter includes conservatives
right.
and their perspective. Now, I think they might be more likely to say all lives matter, and Trump and MAGA.
Probably.
One dude's got a shirt that says conservative thug on it, and like a MAGA hat.
Right.
But I think, you know, my thing has always been, you know, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to try and be respectful.
But they're all successful. They all work hard. They all talk about it. They all talk about being accountable for your own actions. You know, talk about things that when you see the emotions that are triggered and people get all upset and angry, there's money in that. You know, and as sad and you know, bad, and I wouldn't say bad to say, but it's because it's the truth that they're banking on this. You know, it's like it sells. They talk about all of this. You know, there's a lot of it that they go into, but the most important thing about this is you learn the history of what they went through from slavery to now. And man, I am impressed. I am humbled from the stories that you hear.
Frederick Douglass.
I learned more about him from this documentary, and it is an incredible journey that he went through.
And Booker T. Washington.
Many of them, yes. And the stories that they talk about, and the civil rights movements that they were a part of, a lot of these people were a part of it. They were standing there with all these people making these making these laws, putting these laws into place. They're the reason why we're more free now than ever, especially the Black community.
But everything that came after the civil rights movement,
yes.
because of the fight of people like Martin Luther King,
right,
we got rights for everybody.
Absolutely.
And you know, from that fight, we've actually expanded in many different ways. It really blows my mind.
Go on.
The people who complain about this country when we literally just had a landmark Supreme Court ruling protecting the LGBTQ community.
Right.
It's like every chance given to prove how progressive and welcoming this country is, we do.
Right.
And they still complain about it.
Yep.
No, not enough, because it's never enough. We've granted rights to literally everybody.
Yep, exactly.
You know, there's it's not perfect, okay, and we're always improving. I get it, but it's like whenever an issue comes up and they're like, "Hey, what about this group?" We're like, "Okay, well, what about this group?" You got it.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, I'm still mad.
We're running out of things to be mad about. Like, what are we being angry about?" Well, why don't you work on your own life? Yeah. Why don't you further your own dreams? Why don't you focus on yourself? No one wants to do that. And that's something that that personally I've been talking about, being accountable for your own actions. That's why I'm doing constant delving into these critical thinkers of the greatest critical thinkers of our day, because I want to be knowledgeable about what's going on in the world. I want to know what I'm talking about when I'm sitting on a show with you.
Yeah.
When I'm talking in front of how many people we got? 30,000 people here. Woo. You know, it's like I don't want to be ignorant in the ideas that I know I was once. So this documentary, everybody needs to see it, because it shows, it talks about being accountable. We need to stop confusing holding people accountable for their actions with racism. And I see that happening a lot nowadays. And that's a huge issue. And people don't want to be accountable. They want to blame others. Oh, no. It's society's fault. It's a systemic thing. You know, when you look about it, it's like, okay, I could see the things that you're talking about, the systemic issues, and they talk about it in here. And it started long ago, actually, when the civil rights movement happened. There was welfare. They talk about welfare. They talk about Planned Parenthood.
These are the dangerous conversations for YouTube.
I don't care.
That's
They're
why
important.
This needs to be said. People need to talk about this.
But that's why I challenge people to watch the documentary.
Absolutely.
These are the things that will get you banned. No joke. No joke. When you talk about the structure of the nuclear family,
yep.
Black Lives Matter saying they want to, break it apart. I've heard this. I need to fact check this one, so definitely fact check this one for sure.
Down with the patriarchy. It's one of their number one things they're trying to bring down.
The traditional family, These are things that are key indicators of success. And I have to wonder why it is that, many of these progressive activists come from families that are well off and traditionally structured, and then go and advocate for other people to break their families apart.
You're right.
And to not have those families. Yep.
That was a democratic thing that was going on back in the day.
And listen.
Long time ago.
When it comes to welfare, it's simple. An age-old adage: teach a man a fish, feed him for a day.
Yep.
Feed a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, feed him for the rest of his life.
Thomas Sowell talks about how slaves couldn't read. They didn't want to spread knowledge. And in 50 years after, more than 50% of all African Americans in America could read. They were literate. And he said that was, historians should talk about that and how amazing that is because of what they went through to get to where they are. And that was 50 or 100, I don't know how long ago, it's 70 years ago now, from 50 years from when the Emancipation Proclamation. I don't have my dates exactly in line right now, but he's an amazing man too. Thomas Sowell, man.
That dude's a genius.
How is he not, how is he not being idolized?
I idolize him.
Hold on.
No,
You're not
like-
black though.
Why isn't he on?
I'm talking about-
CNN?
I'll tell you why.
Hold on. No. Let me just want to finish what I'm saying here. How is he not idolized over Snoop Dogg?
Yeah.
I love Snoop. He's got some flows that I can jam on, but I don't go to Snoop Dogg for my critical thinking thoughts. But Thomas Sowell is an incredible critical thinker. He's been around. He was in the civil rights movement. He was there. He was standing there.
Thomas Sowell is so much more than just this conversation too.
You're absolutely
He's a
right.
brilliant genius just in general.
Absolutely.
He comments on things like in politics and culture on so many different spaces.
Yep.
And the economy.
Yeah.
The dude is the one of the best, the smartest we've got.
I mean, it doesn't matter race aside. He is one of the top critical thinkers America has ever produced, ever. And I mean that.
And they and who do they end up putting on, CNN?
Jay-Z. I'm not joking.
Seriously.
And what happens when Kanye West speaks up? Mentally
Crazy,
ill,
yeah.
Right.
bipolar,
And
manic.
he literally said, we got to think for ourselves. We can't let people control us because we're emotional and we're proud.
You know what this is?
And that's how is that craziness?
You know what's going on? The Democrats have always taken the black community for granted.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump reached out.
Yep.
He's not perfect.
Yep.
He's at around, I think he's averaging like in some polls really high, in some polls kind of low, but he's better than he was, almost double where he was in the aggregate.
Yep.
So we had 8% last time. He comes out and he does all these events. He brings on many high profile, black influencers.
Yep.
And all of a sudden now he's nearly doubling his approval among the black community.
I mean, it makes sense. He's done so much. Jobs among the black community were at an all-time low under his
All-time
president.
high. Unemployment.
Jobs, unemployment, right, was at an all-time low.
Well, that's for everybody.
Ivanka Trump pushed the Treasury to push I think it was $10 billion into minority schooling.
Yeah.
Because they know schooling is number one. It should be priority. Why are we policing around the world instead of going to our minority groups, not even minorities, our own cities, the people that really need our help, pumping it into those schools to help everybody learn.
And when Trump tried to pull our troops out of Afghanistan,
What did they do?
they blocked it. Everybody blocked it.
Why did they block it? Do you
Dude,
even know?
it is
I don't know why.
It's the war machine, baby.
Well, that's what
it's
But what was their official reasoning though? What
I
did they
don't know.
say? They didn't.
I
Even,
have no idea.
Okay, because I would like
They were
to.
com-
I
they-
want to
they
know
said
why. I want to
they
know
want-
the reason why.
They wanted an inquiry into Russia's putting a bounty on American soldiers or something, and that, other stupid nonsense.
Okay.
You know what, man? The Democrats did. I feel like they've offered nothing to the cities entirely. These cities
I agree.
are just trash heaps.
Before we move on, Lydia, what did you have to say about that? You had something to say there.
Okay, well, it actually gets me pretty heated that they don't actually care about the people who escaped from slavery and then chose to learn to read and
Frederick
make something
Douglass.
of themselves. Exactly. That really ticks me off because those people worked their tails off.
Yeah.
But no one ever talks about them because that's not what they want to model. They don't want to talk about personal responsibility. They don't
Yep.
want to talk about education and learning to read.
Exactly.
They want to talk about victimhood because they want control.
Yep.
I'm convinced it's about
What's-
control.
What's happening is you ended up with Trump actually reaching out saying, I'm going to offer you something. And then he literally said, what have you got to lose?
That's true.
All of a sudden, the Democrats started realizing, like, people actually care about Black lives.
Yeah.
Black lives matter.
Yep.
And this is a threat to them,
He put
to their politics.
he did an executive order to pump $10 million into historically black only colleges. Not that they're black only, but it's like historically they've been black colleges, and he's pumping money into these places. Trump is. You see, these are the things that
That's why they have to call him racist.
I know exactly.
They have to.
So I'll bring up my Twitter or my Facebook thing today. I woke up today and I had that interaction. For those who weren't here earlier, it was just about COVID numbers. Weird, right? Someone banned me from their thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of seeing these meme news where people are reading their news from memes that where it's not true. None of this is true. I just posted, I'm voting for Trump. If you have a problem with it, love it or hate it, talk to me. I'd love to talk to you about it. Let's get this out into the open. And man, it is on fire.
There was a lot of respectful dissent.
Absolutely.
And there were some people like, I can't remember exactly what one was, but they were like, later, bye, gone.
I knew you were a kook.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I can't believe you can vote for a bigot and a racist and this person that
wait. Is there a specific region for some of these people?
It is interesting that you should say that, because yes, a lot of them are on the West Coast. A lot of them are along the West Coast in the Democratic zones. There's some people in New York also, which is a very Democratic area. It's like
I was talking to a friend of mine today. We were having a conversation about Black Lives Matter and stuff, and they asked me, "Are you going to vote for Trump?" And I said, "Here are several reasons why I'm leaning towards yes."
Okay.
Why I'm leaning towards yes, and the Republicans. And I talked a little bit about Section 230. I talked about identitarianism. I talked about how basically having no real good choices, but what am I going to pick? Biden? Dude's, look, Trump can at least fly a plane. He's flying it crazy. He's doing like barrel rolls and people are screaming.
Yeah.
But Joe Biden.
Man, he's smart. He knows exactly what he's doing.
No, what I mean by what Trump is doing is that, like, he's flying in a way that many people, whether it's because of the flight attendants screaming in their faces nonstop, people are upset, but he's flying a plane.
Yeah.
Joe Biden would fall asleep. And then the plane would just go.
Well,
let me finish this point. Basically, the response from my friend out of Chicago was interesting. Like, oh yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to vote for Biden. Blah blah blah. Like, nobody screamed in my face.
That's nice.
But I think it has to do with like the West Coast is insane. It's full of insane people.
There's a lot of people in New York too that a lot of people were posting from New York as well. But one thing that I started noticing was there was a lot of people that did post that were like, awesome, Adam. And one friend of mine in particular was from Venezuela.
Oh yeah.
And he said, I'm absolutely for Trump. I'm from Venezuela. I know what happens. I've been there. I've been through it. And I don't want this to happen here. I'm voted for Trump.
Dude.
No doubt.
They thought it couldn't happen.
But what pisses me off is a lot of them were saying, how can you vote for this racist? How can you vote for this bigot, this, homophobe? And it's like, all I can think of is like, how can you guys just hate so much when, like, the more I learn about him, what he's done for the minority communities that they don't want to talk about.
Well, so have you asked them what has he done that's racist? They always say.
What?
Well, first, he called Mexicans rapists.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then my response is like, he was talking specifically about illegal immigration and like alluding to the high rate of crime, MS-13, things like that.
Right.
He called immigrants animals. No, he was referring to cartels. Well, he banned Muslims. Well, first, the list of these countries that were considered threats was from the Obama administration, and he also included North Korea and Venezuela, which are not Muslim. Plus, there's several other Muslim nations that weren't banned. So,
right.
But he called it a Muslim ban. That he did. So you got to look. I always say, like, listen, man.
Does he have the tact?
Exactly.
Maybe not.
Character.
But is he doing good things as a president? Yes, definitely.
Got to give it to him, man. The economy.
Absolutely.
The economy did really well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame him for COVID. He did not get us into another war, and he's been trying to pull our soldiers out. And I got to admit, economics is always good. If people in this country are doing well and around the world, I'm happy. But my main thing has always been I'm tired of having arguments about healthcare and Flint and all these things when we're literally spending money on the war machine so that we can be nation building in the Middle East.
Right. Why are we doing that?
We want to look. John Bolton's wanted to go after Iran. It's like, I love that Onion article. I mentioned it before. It's John Bolton breaks into Oval Office screaming that he's been shot by Iran, and it's a picture of him like holding his chest and his blood coming out. Yes, we get it. John Bolton said something like, next year we will be celebrating in Tehran or something like that.
That's
and then we've got
craziness.
bases in Iraq, we've got bases in Afghanistan, and there's Iran right in the middle. Yeah, we get it. We get it. Imperialist, military, whatever you want to call it. I love the people of this country who are willing to put themselves on the line to defend our ideals and our freedoms. But I'm upset that the machine is putting them in a country for nation building. We don't need to be doing that. And trust me, I know a lot about the natural gas pipelines, the Gazprom monopoly, Russia, Ukraine, Crimea, all of these things. I get it. I fall on the other side of this argument because I think it's a very weird position because it's the progressive, but also America first.
Yeah.
It was the conversation between Tulsi Gabbard and Dan Crenshaw. Should we have troops in the Middle East? Dan says, look, we really need it. There's a power vacuum. China and Russia, they could move in. Tulsi saying, we got to bring our troops back. And I'm like, bringing our troops home, defending ourselves, rebuilding our roads, rebuilding our plumbing, investing in minority communities and impoverished communities to better their lives.
Yes.
This is all what we can do for our community. And one of the things we can do is we don't need to be investing in the war machine.
Absolutely.
Now, granted, a lot of that money is spent here. A lot of people don't know this. Like when they build a tank and stuff like that, there's people who work American jobs in this country. But then we're building roads. We're putting up buildings. We're building cities in these other countries. And it's like, you know what, man, look, I would love the idea of a utopian global community Star Trek future. Maybe in the future, maybe we can work towards this. But I don't believe the way is to invade a country, invade two countries, start, building other countries there. You've got to give me a better reason. And if they can't for security reasons, then you got a problem because this is a country that requires the consent of the governed. If you do not get my consent for what you're doing because you can't justify it, well, you got yourself a problem there.
Yep.
I would like to see the money invested in our troops. I would like to see it invested in such a way that our troops can be defending, protecting, and helping Americans who are in crisis. And we've got a problem going on in the Detroit area and the Flint area with water that for some reason they're not fixing. There's a lot of things that can be done to fix that.
Yep.
The reason I don't talk about it, the reason I don't make videos where I'm like, what about Flint? I'm like, because war. And that's why when I see Trump is like, I would like to get our troops out of Syria, I'm like, okay. Hey, I'm mad that he fired those missiles at Syria. When they're like, what about, Trump wants to get our troops out of Afghanistan. I'm like, here, good sir. I raise a glass, please. Yep. And then the Republicans and Democrats are like, hold up.
Yeah.
Hold up. I'm like, no, don't hold up.
Yeah. Why?
There, you know what, man? There is a real concern about power vacuums and stuff like that. But listen, the biggest threat I think we face is China.
I agree.
Not Russia coming into Afghanistan or whatever this is.
Why do you think that though?
China?
Yeah. Give me your reasons.
Infiltration of our cultural institutions, of our academic institutions, manipulation of the public perception and psyche. I believe that, when you look at things like TikTok, the spying, yes, they've been engaging in espionage and subversive tactics. They've been stealing our manufacturing base. They've been stealing our intellectual property. They've been extracting our resources so they can enrich themselves, and that is hurting us. And when we had these complicit politicians, what's more dangerous than a power vacuum in the Middle East? China stealing our IP, and then American politicians giving our manufacturing away to China.
Yep.
So that the American middle class suffers, and then you end up with a decimated Michigan, which results in the collapse of the water infrastructure in places like Flint.
Yep.
So how about we come home and help our people, help marginalized communities? I'll tell you what, if the left came to me and said, we want a big push to allocate funds to saving the oppressed minorities of the Flint area, I would say 100%.
Yep.
Here's my offer. How about we take the funds from the Middle Eastern incursions, bring those soldiers home, reunite them with their families, give them a big old bonus even, because we're going to save a ton of money. And then with whatever money we have whatever we can with the military, the National Guard, go in and start fixing these things to help our own people.
Boom.
Bring our jobs back, bring our manufacturing back. The bigger threat is the loss of our economic standing. If we don't have jobs for the middle class, if they can't afford to eat, if they can't afford to buy homes, if China is buying up property on the West Coast, buying up all these houses and taking our factories away,
They are.
and our medicine, general manufacturing, then what's going to be left of this country in 20 years? Yet the obsession is we got to have soldiers in Afghanistan. It's just absolutely psychotic.
Yep.
It's stretching us too thin. It's a waste of time. So this ultimately comes down to, Tim, why don't you talk about these, that, or this? It's like, okay, yeah. Get them out of Afghanistan. I'll tell you what, right now, I wrote a song. Remember the song I wrote the other day in the room?
Yeah, it was great.
I wrote a punk rock song. It was called End the War, F the Imperial Fascists, Vote Donald Trump.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
This is what punk is nowadays.
If you want to end the war in the Middle East, who do you vote for? Joe Biden? No.
Right.
Donald Trump is literally trying to bring our soldiers back.
Yep.
So I'm like, this is the weirdest song you'd ever write.
He's literally trying to make our citizens stronger, smarter people.
Yeah.
Vote Republican to end the war.
Seriously.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you look at the panel that Biden is starting to kind of pull together? It
Oh,
would be the
goodness.
third term
Pro-war.
of Obama's,
Oh, man.
presidency. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
blown up kids,
yeah,
Great.
dropping bombs on Pakistanis. Obama was just, man,
what a role model.
he was not good. He was not good. He I feel like domestically he was just, enough, average,
You know, it's really
but he was
interesting.
charismatic.
In this movie, Uncle Tom, that we were discussing earlier, it has a speech by him, and it's a great speech. I still feel like it holds true today, and he talks about America being an incredible place, and that if anyone thinks that, I don't remember his exact words, but he's basically saying if anyone thinks that you can't do anything, if you feel like you're so oppressed in this amazing country that is America, look at me right now. I am the president. And I was like, oh, good sir. And like, he proved it. Anyone, you can be president. Anyone can. It doesn't matter what your skin is. It matters what your character is.
That's America.
And that's what we need. That's what we cherish here. Character.
They're erasing Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream. I have a dream that one day my children will be judged not by the color of their skin, but the content of their character.
He said, I have a dream, and it is deeply rooted in the American dream.
That's what he said.
Verbatim. That's what he said. And then the rest. But it is the American dream that he was talking about. And that is not what they're doing right now.
I wonder
they're
why
trying
it
to break
is
that down.
that my great-grandparents thought they had to come to this country, that they had to flee where they were, even though this is supposedly a historically racist country.
This place is so bad, people are
Desperate to come
dying
here.
to get here.
Yep.
Dying. But it's worth it because they know that they can be free here and they can do what they want to do.
And we're basically, one of the least racist countries on the planet, if not the.
Probably.
When I went to Sweden, I learned something really interesting. I learned that they're very culturally homogenous.
True.
I don't want to say racist necessarily because they don't like other white people either. We did an interview with a woman who was from America who married a Swedish man.
Okay.
She spoke Swedish, but she had an accent. She couldn't get hired anywhere because once they would look at her resume and everything, bring her in, and then she said as soon as she would talk to them, their faces would change. Oh, where are you from? America. Oh, that's interesting. No call back.
Yeah.
They were very like,
Well, I mean, I've been living in Europe on and off for 15 years. So I am constantly meeting people that go, "Oh, you're American? I know everything about you."
yeah.
Done. You what? Because I'm American, you realize America's huge, right? I counter with this. This is my favorite thing. I'm in Paris for this example, right? Someone says it to me. Oh, so you're just like that German. You're just like the Germans then. Whoa. Excuse me? No. I'm French. And I'm like,
What's the difference?
you live closer to Germany than me living. I was
To Texas.
from Chicago to Texas to California. Like, you don't understand what that means then?
Yeah.
That all Americans are the same, or all television, or all the news that makes it over here.
You go to Chicago and talk about the Bears. And you get Jardiniera
Or the Bulls.
my
the
gosh.
Bulls on their Maxwell hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? And you go to Brooklyn, and both of these guys are going to be telling you about their hot dogs and their pizza. We even talk different. I mean, it's mostly going away because of the internet.
True.
But you go down to Texas, you see cowboy hats and guns and barbecue.
Yep.
Good barbecue. You can't get the barbecue anywhere else. You
True.
can't get Jardinera anywhere, dude. This is what
Good
people don't.
Chardonnay. Good Chardonnay.
Yeah,
I've
if-
tried.
if-
You can't find it.
You can find it. They call
Only
it
in Chicago.
They call it hot peppers.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Nah, get outta
No,
here.
it's
You know
not
what
the
you're talking
same.
about.
You got to get the right size cauliflower bits, and
People are probably like, "What's jardiniere?" I have no idea. What you're talking
Well,
about.
for
That's
the
right.
people who don't know what jardiniere is, it's a Chicago thing.
You wouldn't understand.
Sorry.
But yeah. Well, here's the point I was making with Sweden. Sweden is supposedly this very progressive, leftward country,
Right.
and even they have prejudices.
Yeah.
They're a small, tight knit country. It's what you say, 9 million people.
Well, they have I'm going to use the term far right, and part of their country, part of their government.
It's relative.
But people also say, well, look at socialism, look at Sweden. Like, how isn't it? Look at that. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's a country of 9 million.
But
people.
they're not even socialist.
And they're right.
It's capitalist market economy.
Right. It's a specific. They've found their spot, and we can't just shift. It's like
This is what they did. This is what they say. They say Scandinavia is socialist or democratic socialist when they're not. They're market economies with welfare states, and in the instance of Sweden, they're subsidized by weapons exports.
that's true.
So it's like, I'll tell you what, if you're one of the largest weapons exporters per capita, your state is making a ton of money, you can probably afford to give a little bit to all the people, 9 million of them, in your country.
There's a reason they didn't enter World War II.
They were the weapons
I'm
dealers.
serious.
They were
That's
neutral, right?
Yeah, and you know what would be socialist? If the factories were owned by the state. Or at least partially, or even to any degree. They're not.
I don't know that much about it.
Socialism is public ownership of the means of production.
Okay.
So Bernie Sanders proposed like 20% of all company stock goes to the workers or something like that for
Okay.
like paying out bonuses and stuff. That's socialism.
Right.
You go, my understanding at least of like Denmark and Sweden, Norway, they don't do that. You own a business, you pay taxes.
That's interesting because I have a friend who used to work at Tesla before Elon made some moves because he was taking heat from something or other that he always does, making moves. I guess he was putting too much time into SpaceX, and the Tesla board was upset that he was losing Tesla money. So he kind of had to reformat. But what I'm talking about is a lot of the people that worked at Tesla got stocks in the company, including my friend. So even when he lost his job at the company, he still had a lot of stocks. I still think he does, which is pretty sweet, for him. So they got these stock options when working there.
Yeah.
So it was actually a part of his company. So that's kind of cool.
I mean, we do this. We offer options. We offer stock appreciation rights, things like that.
yeah.
So, but, if we actually said that the state owns a portion of each company, we'd be getting into socialism.
Right.
We don't do that. So we're mostly a mixed economy through taxes and stuff. But anyway, my ultimate point was America is not racist. Like when you
For the most part, it's
when-
not.
when you-
America is not racist. You're absolutely right. I agree.
Listen,
it's not.
When you go to start a business or open a bank account, they don't say, "I'm sorry because of your race."
Yeah.
A lot of countries do.
Maybe
Where are you from? I'm sorry.
specific welfare systems are racist because they were set into place 45 years ago.
Well-
when they were mixing it, and there's a
We
lot
can
of
have that
things.
conversation about institutional racism.
I mean,
and it's the left
sure.
that's like trying to make that happen.
You're
affirmative
absolutely
action.
right. I mean, even like Planned Parenthood, I learned a lot about it. Lydia has said some things that got me thinking. So I did some digging, and then sure enough, Uncle Tom, boom, they dropped a whole bunch of stuff about that specific thing
Messed
about
up.
Margaret Sanger and how nasty she
There's
was.
an activist
That's a
website.
nasty woman.
Yeah.
There's an activist website that's plots on a map Planned Parenthood locations,
Yep.
and it points out that 79% are within walking distance of the Black and Latino
This
communities.
is what
It's
Kanye
messed
was
up.
saying.
That's what Kanye was saying.
Almost 1,400 kids a day from just black mothers.
But this conversation about Planned Parenthood is very nuanced.
It is.
Listen,
you're right.
Listen.
And most things are. But go
Right.
ahead.
When you talk to I talk to my almost all of my friends are left.
Yep.
When I talk to them, they don't they see these things, and to them they're like, I don't see it that way because, like, for instance,
My body, my right.
when I talk to my left-wing female friends, they say, I have no job, I have almost no money because COVID, and I was able to go there for free healthcare. They didn't go there for abortions or like that, and they were like, if it wasn't for them, I'd be in serious trouble.
Well, and that's when we first kind of talked about it. I was like, they do more things than just this. It's not, it's more. Like
But
I got tested, because everyone should get tested, for whatever any STDs or whatever. And it's like, I did that, and
Here's the important point.
It was great.
Listen, if there are people who need service and they can't afford it, and Planned Parenthood provides that, excellent. I'm happy they do.
Yeah.
If black activists are saying they feel threatened because they think these institutions are targeting them, then I think we need to listen to what they have to say, especially if you believe in Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
If these people come to you and say, please listen, your response should be, I'm listening. That's what they say, right? They
That's a
say
good
you
point.
should be listening to what these actors have to say. So I respect it.
Yeah,
I do.
definitely.
But also the same thing is true for my female, left-leaning friends when they're like, I was in desperate need and they helped me. I respect that too.
Yeah.
Let's have a conversation and figure out what we need to do as a country to come together. I understand everyone's got grievances. We have to learn how to function properly as, two wings of the same eagle.
Yep.
Otherwise we fall from the sky. How about them super chats?
Yes.
How about them super chats?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I wanted to highlight this super chat after all of that
Okay.
from Kurotaran. We're all replaceable dust. Much respect, Adam. Make that UFO fly.
I will do that.
Yes.
We are
Thank you, everybody.
we are all but stardust.
We are.
Easy now. Thanks for the gigantic pear emoji. Super chat. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Matthew says, here is some money for Thomas Sowell's new book, Charter Schools and Their Enemies.
Very
I
cool.
saw that.
Cool.
Yeah, he was talking about it. That's what his interview yesterday. I think it was Mark Levin that was interviewing him, and it was an excellent interview talking about charter schools and how they're great. And he kind of goes into teachers unions and how charter schools, if you're a good teacher and your class, the class you're teaching, if they do well, you get promoted.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
Meritocracy.
if your class doesn't do very good, you're out. And I'm like,
That's how it should
yes. Why are people trying to not have that be a thing? Because public schools, it's not like
Control,
that.
restrict. I have no idea.
It's
This
the
is bad.
teachers union.
Yeah.
They protect bad teachers, and they push their own ideologies. I mean, that's another conversation. But specifically, just what he was talking about, dude, that guy just blows me away every time he talks.
Now we're going to read some more super chats, but make sure you smash that like button.
Smash.
And the subscribe button as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, because all of these interactions tell YouTube that the channel is good, and then YouTube, the algorithm says, hey, this channel is good. So seriously, subscribe.
Someone sent me this.
Hulk hands.
They're awesome.
Hold on, it's official. Let me get my camera.
There we
yeah?
go. There we go.
So, what do you think I'm about to do, huh?
Hulk smash.
Smash! Yes! This is what you all should be doing right now.
We are very serious political
Yes, we are
commentators.
very well-oiled
Very
machine.
important intellectuals of the modern era.
You know what? I just want
I
more
want you
people
to
to critical think.
Hold on. I want you to remember. I want you to know this, Adam.
What?
In 100 years, when they're writing down,
Oh my goodness.
and looking back at history of the great, Donald Trump presidency or whatever.
They're like,
there's
before President Krigler was
Sure.
president.
They're going to be like, some notable media of the, early 21st century includes the TimcastIRL podcast. Some of the most popular and very serious political commentators, and it's going to be a picture of you with Hulk hands smashing a pillow going, "Urgh."
There's one from Adamcast last Saturday where I'm just doing this. I'm like, "Urgh." It's so good. Actually, I'm just going to drop that. Me and Ian Crossland started Adamcast IRL. You can follow me on YouTube. You can find my channel, Adamcast IRL. We did the first official episode on my channel, and you can do it. We're gonna do it every Saturday night at 8 p.m. just like the same as our show, 8 to 10, and we're just gonna do it on Saturdays. And he's an incredible musician. You can check him out, actually, Ian Crossland on Twitter, and I think it's worship Crossland on Instagram. Great guy, but him and I started the show, Adamcast IRL. So please do me a favor, subscribe, and you can come and check us out.
Apparently,
on Saturday nights.
There's some other prominent right-wing dude named Ian Crossland or something. I don't
Is
know.
it really?
Yeah, Ian was telling me about it.
Oh, he's so hippie though.
But the other guy is like a UK EDL guy or something. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Can you look that up?
Yeah, I'm gonna look
When
it
you
up right
Google
now.
search his name, it's what you get. And I remember looking, I'm like, that's not Ian. Ian's a hippie with long hair and
He makes me look like
he made
a conservative.
he made dehydrated vegetables the other day.
I know I'm doing a pretty good job of making that
Wow.
What is it? What is it?
seem
What is it?
myself.
Yeah, there are two Ian Crosslands, and one of them is not like the other. One has really short hair, and he's
Really?
got quite the
Resume.
haircut.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
All right. Well, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah,
and
thanks, everybody.
hit the notification bell. And if you want to get in your super chats, we can't read everybody's, but we'll read some more. Villa Music Dude says, I see people post intellectually lazy slogan messages on Facebook. At best, these are half-truths. I explained power and violence dynamic being used as a mask for justice. I compared it to my parents' origin, Yugoslavia. Friends wanted to hear nothing of it. Sad. I know a dude,
Yep.
known a dude for a long time, and all he does is post screenshots of tweets. And I'm like, is this your thing? You've posted a picture of a some kind of furry character with a rainbow ring around it, who's complaining about socialism because homeless people should be given houses from bankers. I'm like, these are half baked at best from random anonymous accounts, and it's just like that's all 7 to 10 per day.
How dare you?
I'm just like, what are you doing? And when did all of these people become so conformist?
Yeah.
I'm like, some of the punk rock people I used to hang out with as a kid are now like diehard, like Pepsi, yeah, go McDonald's, yeah, they're posting messages in favor of me.
Oh, that's funny.
Big corporations.
How dumb. Bug Pop says, when certain words are in my super chats, they won't process even the word that describes what this is. Anyone else have a problem?
I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Welcome to YouTube.
Yep.
I want to make sure we get some of these earlier super chats for the people who came in.
Sure.
Let's see. Essex was the first super chat of the day. Said, "Smash the like button" in Adam's voice.
Oh, that's nice.
Smash. Get smashed by the like button.
Oh, it's fighting back.
Ray Mechanic says, "Where can I get one of those how dare you buttons?" It was sent to us.
Custom made.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, I
sent
don't
to
know.
us.
Made in China.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Surprise.
I wonder what the legality of like using that is. Is it fair use because it's satire?
I don't
If your
know.
voice is out there.
Nothing's happening.
How dare you?
Deplorable Pirate Captain Gunbeard says, "To everyone who wants to defund the police, my pal Jeffrey Dahmer would love to have you over for dinner." He certainly would, man. He certainly would. Joe Olmler says, "Hey y'all, as they say, ignorance is bliss, so I'm done following politics altogether. Not good for the brain. I'm taking Tim's advice and just gonna go skate. Best of luck in the future. Much love." Hey man, you gotta do what makes you happy. Brent says, "My wife is a research fellow at the CDC studying masks. Cloth masks are 3 to 5% effective, surgical masks 38 to 42, and 95s only work with a fit test or adhesive seal. She writes the data if you want a primary." But is that for spread or personal infection? So what they've said about wearing a cloth mask is it stops you from spitting on people.
Have you seen? They're like when you sneeze, it's a blast. And there's these videos that people are testing with sprays to like show how much gets through. Every single mask they tried except the N95. No one's wearing N95 masks. If someone wears
To
a cloth,
blow out?
if you sneeze and you're wearing, I guess I'll take this
Then
time
why-
to
then-
shout out
nah,
these
look,
dope
look.
masks that we got.
I
So-
don't buy it. When we cough, we put our fist in front of our mouths. These are things we do to minimize spread.
Sure. Yeah.
So when you cover yourself when you sneeze, of course you're not going to stop everything, but it does stop stuff.
Yeah. Of course it does.
I remember this.
Sure.
I remember this when this first happened. Okay, when the outbreak happened, I remember Cassandra Fairbanks talking about getting masks, and people were yelling at her saying, "Stop buying masks," and it was the left, and she was like, "This is so insane. Everybody knows masks work."
Right.
And then all of a sudden it inverted,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
overnight.
what is this? Look, man, someone sent us these really great masks. This one
Yes.
is for me. It's got a beanie on it.
It has a beanie.
It's actually one of the nicer masks. I'm glad we
super
got it
nice.
because
Yeah,
Well.
and they
Look.
fit my nose really nice. So,
But I'll tell you
my
this.
glasses don't get fogged up.
That's
So
amazing.
they're
I've
really
seen-
nice. I just want to shout out to Nico Yume Creations. Thank you very much
I've
for
seen
that. We really appreciate it. Or
I've seen a lot of
it's
these.
Allison and Jean. Thank you very much. Appreciate
I've seen
you.
a lot of these videos where they're like wearing a mask doesn't reduce your oxygen saturation, but they always put on a mask and then like they'll have like an oximeter or whatever it's called in their finger. They'll
Okay.
put the mask on and go, "See, nothing changed." And I'm like, the argument from the right is that over several hours of doing work while wearing a mask, your oxygen concentration starts to drop.
Right.
We went to the store. I can't remember where. I think it was Lowe's, and I was wearing a mask, and we were lifting tons of stuff, water and other things. And I had to take the mask off. I had to pull it up. I was like, I'm like huffing and wheezing because we were doing rigorous exercise, and I just did not feel comfortable.
I mean, I don't have any problem wearing a mask when I go to the store.
Yeah, I don't
You
care
know,
either.
It's like
I don't know.
I don't mind.
When I go to the store, I don't notice anything. But when I was like lifting a bunch of heavy stuff from Lowe's,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we were getting wood and like water or something.
Okay.
Yeah, man, because I'm like lifting back and forth. It's heavy stuff. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was running up and down the stairs quite a bit this weekend, and I was like, I'm having a hard time breathing. I feel short of breath. And I was accused of like having psychosomatic symptoms. And I was like, nah, I'm not making this up. I'm happy to wear a mask if it helps other people or if it helps me contain my own germs. But I was like, no, it's not.
Yep.
You just got to get a Kakashi mask from Naruto where it covers,
Oh.
it comes up of your face or whatever. No, I have my Redskins mask. They
that's
changed the
right.
name apparently. So
Oh, we're gonna. Oh yeah, as of today, right?
did you see
Yeah.
the Onion article?
I haven't. No, I don't.
It said Washington Redskins name change, and there was a big picture and said DC Redskins. So good, so good.
Like
Love
Fry,
that
like
one.
Fry says, Adam, sorry I missed TimcastIRL. I caught it today and it was a great show. Thank you. Take care, all. Keep up the great work. Spin the UFO and keep those little scientists, techies dizzy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, like Fry, like Fry.
Villa Music Dude says, did you see the journalist that said the crosswalk signs are a form of white supremacy?
Yes.
We saw something similar with how feminists equated everything that looked like male parts as tyrannical patriarchy. How far does it go? Forever. It never stops.
Yep.
John Oliver was wrong. He goes, obviously somewhere, and then it never stopped. And now they're tearing down like statues of Frederick Douglass.
No, why would it stop?
Yeah,
Once it
why
gets
would it?
started.
There's no one in charge, man.
Yeah. It's a runaway horse.
They don't want to be held accountable for their inactions.
Yeah. Allie LeCompte says, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it highlights the worst and the best of humanity on so many levels. Look it up. I'm not racist, Joyner Lucas. But it hits home more than ever. Watch it all the way. Curious what you think. Much love from Chicago.
That is
We
a good
will-
song.
Is it?
I like it. And while I ended up disagreeing with him because he said people elected Trump because we're racist, at the end of the song, the white guy and the black guy hug, and it's like an actual conversation.
Oh, is that
yeah,
the
it's that
what-
video from a couple years
Is
ago.
that the video where the white guy's
Just in
rapping
that
and the
table.
Yeah, I've seen
It's-
that.
It's good. It's good.
Calvin Burns says, what are you guys' thoughts on the recall Gavin Newsom in California coronavirus laws? Is that them going back to phase 0 or whatever?
Oh, I guess
Where they're locking everything down?
Yeah, they're going back to.
I don't know. I don't trust anything about
I'm
that
going to
guy
move out
anymore.
to the middle of nowhere,
Gavin Newsom.
build a big wall.
Yes. Build.
We're going to build a big, beautiful wall surrounding a new property down
Yes.
by the river.
Yes.
It's going to be the best. Everybody agrees.
Seriously, I don't trust.
China
I don't
will not
trust
be able to
anything
get in.
he's doing though.
Gavin
Yeah,
Newsom,
no.
of course.
Yeah, the more
Screw
I
that
dig
guy.
into him, it's funny. One of those the lefties that on Facebook that are mad at me. I'll just to put it lightly. I said, well, look at California, and he's like, oh, don't even look at California because Gavin Newsom is dirty and all the stuff. Started spouting all the stuff, and I was like,
Whoa.
you realize that's a Democrat in charge, and like that's what I'm talking about right
Yep.
now. How are you upset with me with what I'm saying? Because you're
They
proving
live-
you're proving me right.
They don't have anything to say about the Republican states.
Nope. Well, they claim that their COVID death numbers are super high. Like the amount of people have COVID. Yeah, but look at the deaths per millions. There's all the blue states have the highest numbers. It's like I look at the stats. I look at the numbers. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, New York was just
Dude.
they probably have herd immunity by now because of how bad it was handled.
I know.
Forced
So we have
Or
we-
death.
We got a super chat here from Flood. He says, have you seen Yuri Bezmenov's video from the 80s about ideological subversion?
Yep.
I see a lot of people recommending it to you. You should look into it. It explains why arguing against them is useless. You should prepare for war. New rule!
Yes.
Everybody.
This new rule we were just talking
New
about.
rules.
Because I get probably 50 messages per day telling me to watch this, and I watched this video 20 years ago,
Yes.
you must send me $5 if you would like to recommend that I watch this video. But the good news is you'll be entered into a contest where, when you are the 10 millionth person to recommend this, which I estimate will be
We're
probably
really close.
in 1 week,
We're getting there.
you will win that pot of all of the five. I'm kidding, by the way.
Wait. I want to be in on this because I have also seen this video, and everyone seems to not realize or just highly suggest it to me. I've seen it. I agree. He talks
nails
about
it.
a lot of stuff that was going on back in the 80s that he went through, and he escaped here because America.
Yes.
That's why he escaped here, because
gotta-
America.
I got to tell you, man, it is difficult getting 50 emails a day that all say the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And we have to create like a special folder that just auto deletes every time someone says Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah,
I'm not
true.
kidding, man. You guys, like, I appreciate,
Yes.
They're
I
on
appreciate
it.
the enthusiasm.
We've seen it. We all have seen it. Wait, Lydia, have you seen it?
I have seen it.
We've
It's-
all seen it.
Yes.
It's official.
Yay.
So
We've
first,
seen him talk.
I watched the video 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Not 20 years ago, probably like 16, 17 years ago.
I
when
saw
was
it a few months
teenager.
ago now.
I think it was that long ago. Maybe it was actually like 15 years ago when I was like a little older and the internet was becoming more prominent.
I watched it when the red pill started really dissolving, in the belly. You know,
Setting
first you
in.
got to take the red pill, and then it slowly starts,
Then your muscles
dissolving.
Then your muscles burst and expand.
And then
you
you
grew 3 feet.
I started smashing the like
No, no, no.
button around
Then-
that time.
Then you were trying to type in Yuri Bezmenov, but your fingers were too massive, and you're like, oh, doof, doof.
But thankfully, someone sent it to you.
Super red pilled.
Oh, it's funny.
All right, here we go. Tratic says, Adam, Sweden Democrats are not in the government. They are framed as far right due to anti-establishment attitude and immigration restriction policies.
Okay.
They would be more left than DNC in the USA. They would.
Yeah, probably.
I think they're pro universal health care because it's like a standard Swedish thing.
Yeah, okay.
Even the Democratic Party is not for universal health care.
That's a good point.
Yeah, Biden's plan is like a public option with like low income subsidy, like or something like that.
Ah, man.
Yep.
They just want you on the government's
Payroll?
teat, if you will.
Yep, on the dole.
Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. This is interesting. Technically, Wright says decimation was a punishment in the Roman legion. When a group committed a capital offense, they would be divided into groups of 10 and would draw lots. The unlucky 10th would be beaten to death by the other 9.
Whoa,
Oh, jeez.
that's metal.
So 10%.
Right.
I mean, sure, it
That's it.
technically is 10%, but if you were that 10%,
man.
you were decimated.
Yep.
So all right, so yeah, we can see it.
Wow.
So here we go. Raulasaurus Rex says, hey, gang, last week in an interview with Owens, Kingface touched on the Crips and Bloods being about community and later devolving into gang violence. Do you think Black Lives Matter is headed in that direction on a more national Red Guard adjacent scale? It's a good point, but honestly, don't know. I don't know.
Same.
Yeah, I can't think so. I can't think I can comment on it. Adam Gray says, hey guys, today's my 32nd birthday. Number one
Hey.
fan.
Happy birthday.
Almost finished with the new Trump mobile game. Let's defeat socialists with laughter and unity. Much love, spin that UFO. Let's do our parts and troll for liberty. Sounds cool, man. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. The spin is for you. You know what? I'm gonna spin it the other way.
Oh, he's gonna reverse.
It's
the
a
spin.
rarity
Birthday
that I
spin.
spin the UFO the other way.
I love it.
So I want to point out something really funny.
There we go. That's a birthday spin right there.
Pretty good.
Apparently, I'm just finding out that as for I read. Well, I'll just mention it. When it comes to view count,
Uh-huh.
with all of the Timcast channels plus IRL, this is one of the most watched network of political commentary on YouTube. Apparently,
Hey Tim.
yeah,
good
that's
for
kind
you,
of
man.
crazy.
I'm really
But
proud of you,
it's-
man.
But you know what it
Good
is?
job.
It's because it's all about milquetoast fence sitting. It's all about just being right there in the middle.
No, that's wrong.
No?
You're wrong. God.
Oh.
Oh,
Nailed
that feels
See,
it
now you
feels
see why
good.
Tim
Right?
does it.
Now you know why I love it. It's an addiction.
No. And I'll tell you why you're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
No, you're wrong. You know why, Tim? It's not from fence sitting, whatever. It's because of you. Because you get up every single day and you do work, and you inspire a lot of people out there to find the truth yourself, and that's important, and people need that.
You know, I think it
and
is.
I appreciate you.
Here,
I think it's
here.
his work. I really do think it's his
And
work.
thank you for hosting Adamcast. Thank you for pushing me to start something, start
We tried
speaking
it
up.
years ago.
But
you know-
our show, sure, but
Yeah.
because of you, I have started my own channel, and I get to use the studio. You
have a bigger studio?
I asked you, I was like, "Did you watch the show?" And he's like, "Nah, I was talking."
It's my day off, dude. I still work in the morning.
I know it's true.
What's
No,
probably
I don't blame you, but I did shout out, and I
Yeah.
sent you some appreciation. So
Here's
I
the
really
secret.
appreciate you.
The secret is that I work every single day,
Yep.
and today was particularly crazy with the driver crashing. I almost didn't get it. I was like, I don't know if I'm able to do it. We figured it out. I got a
We're sweating
splitter
bullets,
cable, some
man.
duct tape. But I think, if you want to compare what I do to literally anybody else, all that matters is if you think I'm good at what I do, if you think I know things, if you think I'm smart or insightful, it's because I've been reading nothing but news for like a decade, every day, nonstop, no days off, period.
Yep, that's true.
So if you dedicate yourself, you get good at stuff. That's
Pays
really
off.
that's all it is. Yeah. But that was because somebody gave a shout out saying, Mike D said, "Keep it the good work, Tim. The public is counting on you and your team for the truth. Bye bye CNN." And when I saw him mention the CNN thing, and I was like, CNN still gets substantially more views than I will probably ever get.
Well, because they're
But-
in airports across
No,
the
no,
globe.
on YouTube.
Oh,
on
oh,
YouTube,
specifically
because they're
just on
being
YouTube.
propped up by YouTube.
That's a good point.
But it did make, I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, you put in the hard work and you focus and you do what you got to do. we are on track, right? It might take 5-10 years, but I think we'll beat CNN.
I think so too.
I totally
Sure.
do.
We're gonna do
it but it's not just gonna be like one show.
Right.
You know, you've got your show now.
It's the Cast Network.
Yep.
It's
good.
We're gonna be launching a vlog. We're gonna be doing a thing where like every Sunday we open up mail. So all the mail you guys send us, we're gonna open on camera.
Yep.
We're gonna be
so
doing
fun.
skateboarding. We're gonna be doing like firearms, gun range stuff, bows and arrows,
Yep,
fun
it's gonna be
shenanigans,
fun.
science experiments. Ian wants to make like laser guns and stuff, so we're gonna have him.
What a
course he
surprise.
but it's really gonna be like
Oh,
a
man.
big network of a bunch of different kinds of content.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do is I want to inspire people to be active, to be involved, to
Yep.
follow their passions, and pay attention to the world around them.
And we're gonna start having real guests on the show again.
Yes, I
so
can't
so we
wait.
don't have the room. Plus, we're getting ready to move to this new location, and we are definitely gonna have guests. I have some guests in line. Everyone here actually has our own little list of guests that
Yes.
are excited about being on the show, and it's really cool. And I'm just gonna take this time. Can you jump over to
The
this
full
here?
screen.
No, the monitor.
it.
Oh,
Boom.
there we
All right,
go.
so I want to give a shout out here to Broken Render. We did an art contest, and I found an extra harumph board. Now I
What?
already told him, I already hit him up on Twitter, but I felt it was only fair for me to give him a shout out right now and show off this awesome art and
So
say
freaking cool.
you are officially a winner in the art contest as well. We have a few other winners, and the boards were sent out. So yours is going to be sent out soon. So
Cool.
Nice.
Good job, good job.
Very cool.
All right. Francisco Melhuff says, Adam said work on yourself, but I think what social media and victim culture has done is made us feel like we don't need to work on ourselves once we find a tribe or moral stance to get behind. Sad.
Exactly. Very true.
You know what, man?
Yep.
I don't care about anybody's tribes. I just want to do my thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
My tribe is just me. It's me. It's me and my thing.
Well, that's what I was doing. I was just doing my own thing, and that's what I've done for most of my life, actually. And that's kind of not okay. We can't just do our own thing and just expect the problems of the world to go away and or not affect us,
I'm
because
talking about-
eventually they will come and affect you.
I'm talking about tribalism, though.
Okay.
Like when Trump said something about burning the flag, should be like 1 year in jail or something.
Okay.
I'm like, absolutely not.
Right.
I'm not. But there's a lot of people who are like, go Trump. Nah, free speech is free speech.
Yep.
I would never burn the flag myself, but burning the flag symbolizes the freedom that the flag represents.
That's true.
So, when I see people burning the flag, I'm like, America. It's like, guess what? You can't do that in China. They will beat you to death.
Probably. Yeah.
You can't even write a sign in Hong Kong now. This is getting crazy.
That's
But
true.
in America, we are so awesome. There are literally crazy people running around burning flags, and I'm just like, I don't like it because that flag is representing that freedom they have. But the fact that it's paradoxical almost.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta let them burn the flag.
What is that adage?
prove the freedom.
It's, I don't agree with what you say,
I'll
but
defend.
I'll defend your right to say it.
I'll defend to the death.
To the death,
say.
your right
Yeah.
to say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's America, baby.
Yes,
That's
it
why
is.
America is so great.
Beautiful.
All right, let's see here.
America.
Yeah, America. That's what's funny. That's why the America, like the America meme is so great, because it's like, there's that cartoon image of a morbidly obese guy and a rascal with like a bucket of fried chicken in front of him, and he's got two guns and he's firing it. I'm like, I know you're making fun of that guy.
Yeah.
But come on, man.
But that guy's living his best life.
Right, exactly,
It
dude.
is, yeah, man.
It's a picture of someone very happy.
Yeah.
Chicken
Wing in his mouth.
rifles.
Boom, boom.
Oh man.
That's America, man. What do we got here? Cirilio says, Pool Crew, any thoughts on Rachel Chandler being the recruiting manager at Wayfair? She was abused by Epstein, then went on to procure girls for Epstein. Coincidences with Ghislaine's arrest. I do not believe the Wayfair thing at all.
I don't
And
either.
the reason
Think about
I
it.
don't, some people have pointed this out too. There's a ton of other websites that have the same things, products with crummy listings and high prices, and some of them are actually industrial grade, expensive things. I don't know if I buy that as a simple explanation because it sounds weird.
Well,
But
go ahead.
But I was going to say, I also really, really hate that people are like, whoa, on Amazon, there's a pillow for 10 grand. They must be selling children. Like, whoa,
might have
calm
skipped a
down.
few steps
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. Hold on there. It could be drugs. It
Right.
could be a million and one things.
Could be a typo.
Exactly.
Right.
Well,
Right,
one
that's
one
what I
thing that
thought.
I noticed, I looked into it a little bit. Obviously, people. I look into pretty much everything that's going on, and one of the kids that was labeled
Was already found.
sent a video. No, posted a video saying, "That's me. I'm that person, and I'm safe. I'm good. I'm not being trafficked."
I was wondering
You
when
know,
we'd hear
One of-
so
one of the other
What are you
names-
doing? Spreading my info around, because that's me, and I'm here right now.
One of the
Yeah.
other names was actually a solved case.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that they went missing and then 3 years later were found dead.
Oh.
And that was like 7 years ago.
Okay.
And now people are like, look, that name matches this missing person. And then I forgot who wrote about it. They were like, here's the actual news article. This young child was unfortunately found dead, so it's not selling anybody. So look, man, do I think weird things goes on? There's weird things going on for sure.
For sure.
But I got to tell you, man, the Onion Network exists, and there are better ways to use, I don't want to say Bitcoin for actually doing these nefarious things, not going on Wayfair to try and buy the stuff.
Right.
It's also like very public. And what would happen if a regular person bought it? Is there like a special thing? I don't know, just the whole thing. The problem I have with all of these is they're like, I noticed strange emails. They were leaked by WikiLeaks, and they talk about these strange things. They must be selling children. And I'm like, dude, listen, hold on. I get why you think that, but listen, you know what they do more than, you know what I can tell you? I can guarantee you one thing. You cannot, prove in most circumstances that like all of these super governmental elites are trafficking children or whatever. There's just like no evidence for it, but you can say,
What?
if I were to tell the average person, let me ask you, Adam, do you think that Hillary Clinton does hard drugs?
Not anymore.
But you think she used to?
I mean, define hard drugs.
Like coke?
Probably not.
You don't think she ever did?
Maybe once.
Do you think these
Maybe in the
Democrats
past, I don't know.
are you think these Democrats are out partying with their buddies at high class clubs? They're all super rich. You don't think they're doing blow?
I think there's a very high chance of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So when I see an email and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" I'm like, "Those dudes are coked out of their mind."
Yeah.
And
that's
they're
probably
they're-
for coke, not.
Right. They're
Right.
doing drugs, man. And that's why they're trying to cover it up and they're panicking. They're like, "Oh no, they're going to find out I'm doing drugs." The
Wiping
drugs.
their nose off.
I don't know if they do drugs, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. In fact, I would place a large wager they are doing drugs.
Yeah, me too.
But the thing is, if you're going to jump the gun on what you think they're doing, there are so many things they could be doing before you get to that point.
Right.
So it's infinitely more likely that someone at Wayfair made a prank where they put these posts up than it is that someone was actually trying to sell kids on the internet.
That's true.
Yeah. What did you do? You grabbed something?
Yeah, I want to thank Billy McCord. He sent us. This is great.
Oh,
That is
look at
excellent.
that. Oh, I love it. It's the meme.
So for those who don't know what this is Zuckerberg peeking over. We talked about
Toilet
this
stall.
like
Watching
what
you
was it, like
pee-
2 months ago?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
clearly has been watching the show. Sent us this board, which he knows when you poop. So this is the sticker we want to put
Zuckerberg was here.
like in urinals.
What is it? Kilroy was
Mark.
here.
Yeah. So Facebook,
Very nice.
Facebook can calculate your behavior, and they know when you poop. Like they know on schedule because of how your phone moves. They know when you eat, and they can make these guesses with very, very high certainty when you go poop.
Yeah.
So I was joking, saying what we need is a sticker that you can put on, like when someone goes into a stall in the bathroom and closes it. As soon as they close it, they see Mark Zuckerberg's face peeking over, and it says Facebook knows when you poop. And then somebody.
I wish it said that. Knows when you poop, but it says Facebook was here. It's still pretty good though.
That's awesome.
And its nose
go.
need to be popping over,
Oh, I
but
love it.
Facebook.
That's excellent.
Those sentiments there, and it's wonderful.
Great work.
So that was Billy McCord. Thank you for that. Appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Interesting. This, Mario says, I'm a big fan. I wanted to say one thing about YouTube. In the past few days, I keep getting random recommendations of pro-cop videos. Is it possible they are putting out fires they helped set? It could be.
Maybe.
It could be. Could
yeah,
be.
maybe.
Let's see. What is this? Bill says, hey, Tim, have you heard about Amazon banning the English versions of Japanese light novels like No Game, No Life and Lazy Dungeon Master? I don't know. I haven't heard that. No.
Same.
Aaron M says, Hong Kong is shutting everything down almost to U.S. levels after surge in COVID numbers. They can't track many case origins, but the government doesn't check people crossing China border because no cases in 30 days or more, or 30 days in China. Okay, I don't know. Oh, 30. Okay, I don't know. There's a symbol there.
Huh.
Let's see. RG Merkel says, sending you $5 so Adam can buy more whiskey.
Oh,
It's a little more than 5.
add it to the
But
whiskey
you have a lot of
fund.
whiskey, right?
I
You have a lot of whiskey.
no, wouldn't say a lot.
Never.
I guess it's relative. To
I have
me,
a few.
you
I have
do.
a few bottles.
Right, exactly. To me, I'm like, you got.
But I mean,
several
I
bottles.
don't want to drink all of my whiskey. I like tasting different. I've been in a. I try to buy different whiskeys every time, but I have fallen for the peaty whiskey. So you ruined it for me.
Why? 'Cause I thought that was an ashtray.
No.
Oh, because Lafroig.
Dude,
Lafroig.
the
Lafroig.
Lafroig 25 that you got to celebrate.
Celebrate. That was an expensive bottle
the
of whiskey.
start of
$1,000.
Timcast IRL. He bought a Lafroig 25 year, and I'm the only one who likes whiskey in the house, so I pretty much drank the whole bottle, and my goodness, I love that. So like, it made me realize how much I love peaty whiskey. Ardbeg, Lafroig, those are my two. I haven't had another. I can't find Ardbeg anywhere, so it's kind of tough. But
Zvush25 says, "Hey, can you read my $50 chat from before?" And Zvush said, "It's getting increasingly more scary to be a Jew here. With the left pushing Farrakhan and Omar saying Jews are the problem at BLM protests, saying Israel has no right to exist, defunding the police, and bad gun laws where Jews live, mostly New York and New Jersey.
it's scary.
But also you have Bill de Blasio specifically targeting the Jewish community.
Yep.
And you have the crimes of people targeting the Orthodox Jews in New York.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
That's been going on for a while.
And you don't happen to want to talk to my friend. I have a friend who's very, very far lefty and Jewish.
Okay.
She was adamant that it was all fake news and propaganda.
Wow.
And I mentioned a few things, and I said, "Do you know who Farrakhan is?" And she's like, "I heard of him." I'm like, "You need to look up Chelsea Handler's Instagram.
Right.
You need to listen to what he says.
Yeah.
You need to look up just do a Google search and go look at the news, and you will have a rude awakening."
I mean, he's even in this movie, Uncle Tom, and the words that he spoke blew me away. He said the white is their enemy. They can never ever not be, and that's sad. That's who they're idolizing, because that's not equality. That's pushing the divide, maintaining the hatred, and we have to get rid of that. So it's a sad thing.
Let's see. Fart Baby says the bookshelves on the Wayfair ads are photoshopped. Apparently really dark subjects. Why would that be so obvious? A lot of people are saying it's to spoon feed the conspiratorial mind to be real.
Maybe.
You know what you got to watch out for is, bait traps. They want to control the news cycle. They want to manipulate you. They can easily put up a picture, and then all of a sudden everyone starts screeching and distracted.
Yep.
And
True.
Oh, we got this one.
Who was that that gave me $5 for whiskey?
R.G. Merkel.
Hey, thanks, RG. I forgot to say thank you, and I thank you. Appreciate that.
Banjax80 says Thomas Sowell audiobook on YouTube. Black rednecks and white liberals take out the periods. YouTube censorship. Well worth the listen. Wow, you can't even say that.
Seriously,
we're probably demonetized already for
I'm
yes, and this is
sure.
ridiculous.
Honestly, everyone, your challenge is great. If you support Black Lives Matter, watch that movie, Uncle Tom.
Yeah,
And you don't got to agree with them.
You don't have to agree, but watch it, because it's real knowledge from the history of black people in America and the story of what they've been through.
It's a counter perspective.
Yeah,
because
it is.
There are other documentaries you can watch from Black Lives Matter, and there's a ton of them.
Like what? What would be the one that you would suggest? Because I
can't say the name of it, but there's a James Baldwin documentary you can watch.
Okay. I want that.
I literally
But you can't.
I can't say the name because
Really?
it's used as a slur. In the
I don't
name.
know if we can even say the name of this movie. I mean, we've said it a bunch of
I know.
times over the
But
whole
I
episode.
decided, considering.
But it is a movie that just came out. It's a documentary. That's what it's called.
Listen, if you turn on Netflix, you're going to get a bunch of documentaries. In fact, I made a documentary about systemic racism in St. Louis. I made one.
Yeah.
It was called A Report from Occupied Territory. Ferguson. It was a Ferguson report from Occupied Territory.
Okay.
And we talked about a lot of these issues that these communities face that are remnants of these old housing covenants that created these enclaves, which created multiple police departments, and it's really crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so these have a real profound impact. So the point is not to watch this new documentary, Uncle Tom, thinking that everything is going to be the real truth,
Right.
but just to understand there are other perspectives, other arguments.
Yes.
And if you're only listening to people that you agree with, then you are not respecting the actual marginalized voices who are asking for your help. And
Yep.
maybe you don't want to give it. That's fine. Maybe you disagree. That's fine. But you got to at least listen to them, right?
100%.
That's the way I see it.
Yep.
So anyway, it is now 10:03, which means it's about time. But before you go, it is imperative that you
Smash the like button. Oh, I was so ready for that.
Nailed it.
That was like a nice
And,
alley-oop, and
but
slammed it home.
but
I smashed it home.
But for real, subscribe too. So I'm gonna do better to stress this. Subscribing, liking, and hitting the notification bell, but also commenting. These things are all part of the system YouTube uses to determine who's a good channel.
Yeah.
And the more you engage, the more YouTube is like that people must really like this channel. So I'm just saying, like, if you want to comment, but more importantly, subscribe. Really subscribe, like, and these things will help us grow. If you think we do a good job and we have a good message and we're fair and reasonable people, this really does help.
Yep.
So other than that, you can make sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Timcast.
You can follow me, Adam Krigler, at Instagram, Parler.
Parler
and
too.
Twitter.
I always forget.
And please go follow TimcastIRL. It's the channel
on
I
YouTube.
just started on YouTube. I just started it, and me and Ian Crossland are starting a Saturday show, and we jam out. We play some music. We talk about. We're going to be doing deep dives. I think this Saturday we're going to be doing a deep dive on Donald Trump.
Oh, cool. That sounds like fun.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're gonna be digging into who he is, what he's done. I'm learning more about him every day, and we're gonna have a deep conversation about who he is, what he's done, because I feel like more people need to know. So tune in Saturday night, 8 p.m. TimcastIRL on YouTube.
And also
please subscribe.
Don't
Very
forget
cool.
to follow at Sour Patch Lids, LYDS.
Correct. There you go.
There you go.
There I am.
And we do the show Monday through Friday live at 8 p.m. We put clips up through the day. We have big expansion dreams coming.
Oh yeah.
So we're about a month away from acquiring the new castle.
Castle.
There was a literal castle we could have bought too.
Oh
It's
man,
crazy.
and we
There's a
didn't-
few.
Yeah.
There's a few.
But I was like, no, we're not buying a castle. That's
on.
ridiculous.
I tried,
They
guys.
weren't expensive. Like, they're expensive, but for a business with
Yeah.
several people, it's actually not that bad.
Right.
But no. We're gonna get a house. We got a ton of stuff we're gonna be adding. There's gonna be a new channel. There's gonna be a vlog channel. There's gonna be skateboarding. There's gonna be guns. There's gonna be craziness. Ian just made a fruit leather using an
Oh,
old
yes.
smoothie. He dehydrated it into delicious candy-like strips. We got.
amazing.
Don't you guys want to watch that? The cooking videos. Well, that's coming up soon in about a month or two. So stick around.
Yep.
But thanks for hanging out for now. We will see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Adios, everybody.
Bye,
Good
guys.
night.